Chapter 25:01. Life Armor completed. Master Jian, please be ready to feed the life armor some of your blood essences, said Master Kuan. Okay. Jian Wushuang nodded. Soon, Master Kuan began his third attempt. This time around, he had perfected the steps and made no mistakes. Another 10 days passed in a blink of an eye. Master Kuan, who had been focusing on cultivating the life armor by the furnace, had both his eyes lit up in excitement. The life armor is completed. Jian Wushuang looked over immediately. He could vaguely see a battle armor in the middle of the furnace within the hot liquid lava. The life armor was just taking shape, but yet to have its own wisdom. Master Kuan then took out the purple shimmer. In his last 2 failures, he had not used the purple shimmer at all. He had only taken the purple shimmer out after the life armor took shape. The purple shimmer was like a finishing touch to the life armor. The life armor seemed to have instantly come to life when Master Kuan sent it into the furnace. The life armor gave away a unique aura. This life armor has wisdom now. Master Jian, come here and let it absorb your blood essence, said Master Kuan. Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and walked towards the furnace. How much blood essences are needed? Jian Wushuang asked. Generally, it takes a lot, but also depends on the blood essences ratings. Take your time, Master Jian. Just put in drop by drop, and well judge according to the situation, said Master Kuan. Jian Wushuang nodded. He stretched out his index finger and squeezed a drop of blood into the furnace. The blood essence dripped into the furnace and was instantly swallowed by the hot liquid lava, but there were no changes in the furnace. A single drop of blood essence probably won't give rise to any reaction. Master Jian, try dropping a few more drops. Master Kuan suggested. Jian Wushuang frowned. The higher the life rating, the harder it was to accumulate and extract their blood essence. It was extremely difficult for people of the ancient race to accumulate and extract their blood essence. Jian Wushuang, being a perfect chaotic creature, would naturally have a hard time accumulating and extracting his blood essence. Try a few more drops. However, he only had a few drops of blood essence. Just when Jian Wushuang was about to squeeze the second drop of blood essence, buzz! The huge furnace suddenly shook, and the hot liquid lava in the furnace began boiling wildly and surged around violently. What's going on here? Master Kuan was taken aback, as he did not know what had happened. Right then, a strong golden ray of light lit up. Master Jian, step backward. Master Kuan screamed and immediately retreated. Jian Wushuang retreated a few steps. At the same time, when he retreated, the huge furnace spar burst open as hot liquid lava flew out madly in all directions. Jian Wushuang's divine powers erupted and formed a barrier in front of him to block the hot liquid lava on the other side. Explosion? How could it possibly explode? The life armor had already taken form. Master Kuan, who was next to Jian Wushuang, was talking loudly. No, Master Kun's eyes glistened again because he saw the golden light floating at the chamber top. The golden light was extremely bright, and within the rays of golden light was a completed life armor. The life armor was neither damaged nor exploded. Nonetheless, the furnace had indeed blown up. Besides, the aura of this armor is so strong. Master Kuan stared hard at the life armor basking in the golden light. He could feel the aura emanated from the life armor was very powerful. Its aura was much stronger than many natural treasures. Even the top-notch natural treasures had a subservient aura toward it. It has become an extraordinary natural treasure, has it not? Master Kuan was startled. Master Kuan, what should I do next? Do I continue squeezing blood? Jian Wushuang asked. Blood essence. Master Kun seemed to have understood something, but still had doubts in his heart as he stared at the life armor for a while, and said, "Try another drop." Jian Wushuang did not hesitate and immediately squeezed another drop of blood essence, sending it towards the life armor. The life armor instantly swallowed the drop of blood essence. Then, boom, the life armor was already extremely powerful and had a much stronger aura than any natural treasure, yet its aura skyrocketed again by several folds more than before. Next, the life armor gave off an aura that countless experts would covet, and at the same time was shining with a colorful glow. Even though the chamber was located underground, it failed to stop the widespread aura and colorful glow. In an instant, there were colorful clouds illuminating heaven and earth in the void above the chamber. The aura of a precious treasure permeated for thousands of miles. Colorful clouds. This sort of colorful clouds only appears when a heavenly treasure is born. Is this an anomaly of heaven and earth? How is this possible? Master Kun was completely stunned. He could not even believe he made the life armor. It was a heavenly treasure that was highly sought after by any ultimate god expert, was successfully cultivated. Most importantly, he had cultivated that life armor. What's a life armor? It was something closely related to the cultivator and was a progressing treasure. Its powers increased simultaneously with the strength of its cultivator. Under normal circumstances, any newly cultivated life armor or life divine weapon would be at the ordinary power. Its power was seldom able to match ordinary earth treasures. However, the life armor he cultivated was at the level of a heavenly treasure. What just happened? It's like two cultivators. One was just an ordinary man when he was born, while the other was a chaotic divine demon upon birth. How were they even comparable? A life armor that attained the level of a heavenly treasure right after it was successfully cultivated would have an extremely bright future. Its powers would grow along with the power of its master and might even become a legendary premier treasure. Premier treasures only existed in the legend. Master Kun had only seen it in ancient books. He still could not believe that he had made a precious life armor that could potentially be a premier treasure one day. How did this happen? Master Kun's eyes were glistening as he looked at Jian Wushuang. Was it because of Master Jian's blood essence? Yes, it must be Master Jian's blood essence. Master Kun concluded. He knew fully well that based on his cultivation skill and those instrument cultivation materials, the life armor would not have reached the level of an earth treasure under normal circumstances. Hence, it must be the 2 drops of blood essence which Jian Wushuang inserted that upgraded it to be a heavenly treasure. Chapter 2502, Golden Glaze Life Armor. This life armor is able to reach the heavenly treasure level with just 2 drops of blood essence. What kind of blood essence is that? Master Kun was astonished. Jian Wushuang, who was standing beside, had also felt the aura emanating from the life armor. A wide smile appeared on his face. Judging from the aura, this must be really powerful. Master Kun, should I continue dripping blood essence into it? Jian Wushuang asked. Master Kun was startled. He took a serious look at the battle armor and then shook his head. No, Master Jian, your blood essences are extraordinary. Merely 2 drops of your blood essence have pushed this life armor to its endurance limit. Another drop of blood essence might immediately destroy it. Jian Wushuang nodded and stopped putting in more of his blood essence. Master Kun's eyes flashed as he waved his big hand and sent several palm prints in the direction of the life armor. It's done. After he solemnly announced the end of the cultivation, the golden light finally dissipated. The life armor, which was enveloped by the golden light, descended from floating in the void. Without any guidance, it floated towards Jian Wushuang. It was Jian Wushuang who fed it his own blood essence, after all. It had become a heavenly treasure with unlimited potential. The life armor certainly knew who its owner was. After Jian Wushuang tried the life armor on, the armor immediately bonded with him. "Oh, this little guy is still acting like a baby to me." Jian Wushuang smiled at it with great interest after he had established a connection with the spirit of the armor. "Master Jian, the armor is done, but it hasn't got a name. Why don't you think of a name?" Master Kuan suggested. "Name." Jian Wushuang gently stroked the armor in front of him. The armor was golden in color with its extremely smooth surface, which exuded a faint metallic luster, like a shimmering phantom. "Let's call it golden glazed life armor." Jian Wushuang smiled. The armor responded happily to its name with a slight quiver. Using his mind to control, the golden glazed life armor immediately turned into golden light, which covered Jian Wushuang's body. In an instant, Jian Wushuang's whole body was completely covered by the armor. It was very delicate, beautiful, and fitted seamlessly on Jian Wushuang's perfect figure. Jian Wushuang stood majestically like a golden god of war. Jian Wushuang then started moving around, and the golden battle armor covering his body immediately transformed into an exquisite golden robe. "Haha, not bad." Jian Wushuang laughed, obviously very satisfied with the golden glazed life armor. Not only was he satisfied, but he could also feel the armor's power. The golden glazed life armor at the heavenly treasure level had terrifying physical protection capability. Jian Wushuang did not have time to cultivate the 9 sparkle star armor, hence his overall strength would increase significantly after he did so, and the golden glazed life armor's prowess would then be fully displayed. "Oh, yes," Jian Wushuang was reminded of something. "Master Kuan, I have a life divine weapon with me." Jian Wushuang waved his hand and took out his blood mountain sword. "This weapon has been with me for many years, but it didn't absorb my blood essence when it was being cultivated. I have also not been able to feed it with my own blood essence. I wonder if you can temper it again and figure out a way for it to absorb my blood essence?" Jian Wushuang asked. Jian Wushuang could feel the Blood Mountain Sword's excitement in his hand as he spoke. Blood Mountain Sword was his closest comrade. It had been with him since his last life till the current. In his last life, Jian Wushuang's life rating was only average. He was able to occasionally feed the sword with his blood essence. In his current life, the Blood Mountain Sword was no longer able to absorb his blood essence after he became a perfect chaotic creature. Master Kuan was quite surprised. "This is your life weapon, but it hasn't absorbed your blood essence before? Show me the sword." Jian Wushuang handed the Blood Mountain Sword to Master Kuan. Master Kuan cautiously took over and brushed his fingers along the blade. He went wide-eyed. "Good sword. See this? It's perfect. This sword, regardless it's the external look or internal structure, was done perfectly in every cultivation step without any flaws. This is my first time seeing such a perfect weapon." Master Kun's heart skipped a beat. In the cultivation process of a weapon, subtle errors such as heat, the quantity of materials used, and so on were inevitable no matter how careful the craftmaster was. However, those minute errors gave no impact on Jian Wushuang. There were craftmasters with extraordinary abilities that enabled them to cultivate divine weapons without a single error. Those types of craftmasters only existed in legends and were at least 7th grade or even 8th grade craftmasters. For a 4th grade craftmaster, such as Master Kuan, this perfect weapon was a myth. "Who's that?" "Master Jian Wushuang." "Who's the craftmaster who cultivated this weapon?" Master Kuan asked in an electrified tone. Master Kuan, you don't have to know who made it. You only have to tell me whether you are able to help me, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Master Kuan pondered for a moment before answering seriously. I've never seen the materials used to make this sword, but there might be a possibility to recultivate it and feed your blood essence to it. The bad news is that a fourth-grade craftmaster like myself is unable to do so. Master Kuan helplessly smiled. A fourth-grade craftmaster was the top craftmaster in the Wuxia wilderness, but in the entire ancient god domain, fourth grade meant nothing. There were craftmasters who were much stronger. Master Kuan was unable to fulfill Jian Wushuang's request. Is that so? Which grades of craftmasters are needed to meet my requirements? Jian Wushuang asked. At least a 7th grade craftmaster, but the craftmaster at the peak of 7th grade might still fail, hence an 8th grade craftmaster might stand a much better chance of success, said Master Kuan. Peak of 7th grade, or an 8th grade craftmaster. Jian Wushuang was shocked to find out. In a small place like Wuxia Wilderness, it was difficult to even find a 4th grade craftmaster. Jian Wushuang found Master Kuan after much effort, someone at the peak of 7th grade, and the 8th grade was still too far-fetched for Jian Wushuang. You heard that, little guy. You'll have to wait for a little while longer to absorb my blood essence. Jian Wushuang helplessly stroked the Blood Mountain Sword. Chapter 2503. 9 Sparkle Star Armor Secret Skill Blood Mountain Sword quivered slightly and seemed dissatisfied, but was nonetheless helpless. Master Jian, these are the remaining instrument cultivation materials from cultivating the golden glazed life armor. There is still a drop of purple shimmer, but a lot more red sun secret essence, red blood fruit, spectacular beast scales, and celestial iron oregon. You'll probably need these materials in the future. Master Kuan handed the remaining materials to Jian Wushuang. In fact, was it someone else who asked for his favor to cultivate a weapon or an armor, he would have kept the remaining materials for himself. However, he dared not do the same to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang nodded and accepted the remaining materials. He then took out another interspatial ring and said, Master Kuan, this is a small gift for you. Thank you for helping me with the cultivation of my life armor. There were a lot of resources and treasures in that interspatial ring. It was the ring that Jian Wushuang got after killing Strange Old Feng, and after splitting the gains with Yunjun. It was definitely more than enough to pay Master Kuan. However, Master Kuan shook his head and refused. No, Master Jian. It's an honor for me to be able to cultivate your life armor, especially when it's such a rare piece at the ratings of a heavenly treasure right after being cultivated. How could I take any reward from you? Master Kuan was telling the truth. He never thought he would be able to personally cultivate a life armor, which was as precious as a heavenly treasure. It was his highest achievement throughout his life in the cultivation of weapons and armor. This achievement was worth much more than any reward in the world. Just take it. You have worked so hard for such a long time after all. You shouldn't be kept busy for no reason. Besides, your furnace has broken in the process of cultivating my life armor, said Jian Wushuang. Master Kuan refused a few times, but finally accepted the ring. Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining with seriousness. Master Kuan, there is one matter I have to make clear with you. I hope you can keep to yourself about my heavenly treasure life armor and the fact about my blood essence. Never mention it to anyone in the future. Otherwise, I won't tolerate such behavior. Master Kuan knew Jian Wushuang was serious. His face changed as he felt shivers up his spine. Merely 2 drops of Jian Wushuang's blood essence were capable of making the life armor to reach the heavenly treasure rank. It was simply incredible. There was no doubt Jian Wushuang had a big secret. Jian Wushuang would face countless troubles if this news spreads among public ears. You can rest assured, Master Jian, I promise to never say anything about cultivating this life armor. I can also take a heavenly oath today. If I break my promise, I shall immediately die from a demonic heart's attack, said Master Kuan. Jian Wushuang raised his brows and felt relieved. Master Kuan, I want to stay in this chamber for a while to cultivate a secret technique. I wonder if it's feasible. Jian Wushuang asked. Of course, I'll personally stand guard to protect you and never allow anyone to disturb you, said Master Kuan. Thank you, Master Kuan, said Jian Wushuang with a smile. Master Kuan soon left, and Jian Wushuang was the only one remaining in the chamber. He found a place and sat cross-legged. My life armor is ready. Next is for me to start cultivating the 9 sparkle stars armor, Jian Wushuang muttered as he slowly closed his eyes. 9 sparkle stars armor was one of the 5 most powerful secret techniques of the 7 Stars Black Sect at its peak. The secret technique was as famous as the 7 Stars secret technique and the divine god of punishment. In his eternal chaotic world, Last Life, Jian Wushuang saw the scenes where Emperor Bai used the 9 sparkle stars armor. As soon as the technique was executed, Emperor Bai's strength instantly skyrocketed. Moreover, the environment of the eternal chaos world was bad. Emperor Bai had gone through a lot of erroneous variants and extremes before finally managed to cultivate the secret technique. However, he was unable to fully manifest the power of this secret technique. During the ancient god domain period of time, Jian Wushuang had a chance to display the secret technique in its complete form. It was a pity if one would like to cultivate such a secret technique. One must have a life armor connected to one's body and blood. Jian Wushuang did not have the golden glazed life armor previously. Even if he had the cultivation method of the secret technique, he could only look at it but not use it. There were a total of 6 chapters in 9 Sparkle Stars Armor Secret Technique, with each representing 6 different levels. The chapters consisted of the Black Armor, Golden Armor, Precious Armor, Heavenly Armor, Stars Armor, and the highest level of all, Ultimate Armor. Emperor Bai first cultivated Golden Armor, which was the secret technique's 2nd level. Jian Wushuang had now begun looking into the 1st level, which was the Black Armor chapter. With his life armor and Jian Wushuang's astuteness, he was able to easily cultivate the Black Armor chapter. Inside the chamber, Jian Wushuang's body quivered as a streamer of black light appeared outside of the armor he was wearing. The black light, which completely covered Jian Wushuang's body like battle armor, was extremely adamant. Jian Wushuang seriously murmured, I have the golden glazed life armor on me. I now have an extra layer of physical protection ability with the black armor and golden life armor integration, but 9 Sparkle Stars armor secret technique shouldn't be so simple. Jian Wushuang summoned his Blood Mountain sword and thrust it forward. With that simple move, he clearly sensed the power of his sword light was affected by the black surface on his body. The power of his sword light had increased exponentially. The sword light cut onto the void, causing the void in the chamber to quake. The power of my sword has doubled. Well. Jian Wushuang was overjoyed. 9 Sparkle Stars armor was a secret technique that integrated both attack and defense. The defense mechanism complemented the life armor by strengthening the life armor's protective capabilities and formed an extra body protective barrier at the same time. Whereas the attack mechanism was a result of the star-guided attack mechanism derived from the secret technique. It amplified the powers of any attack performed by Jian Wushuang. In the Black Armor chapter alone, he was able to double up the power of his various attacks. The second level, which was the gold armor of the 9 Sparkle Stars armor secret technique, supposedly boosted his power by 3 folds. The third level, treasure armor, boosted it by 6 times stronger. The fourth level was 9 times stronger, and it went on with the remaining levels. If he was fortunate enough to cultivate the final 6th level, Ultimate Armor Chapter, his power would then be increased by 15 times under the Ultimate Armor's guidance. That was the 9 Sparkle Stars armor, one of the 5 most powerful secret techniques of the 7 Stars Black Sect. It's terrifyingly powerful. The 9 Sparkle Stars armor is terrifying indeed. No wonder it's as famous as the 7 Stars secret technique and divine god of punishment. Jian Wushuang exclaimed. He had also cultivated another secret technique that integrated both attack and defense mechanisms, the Primordial Void Celestial Body. Not only does the Primordial Void Celestial Body increase one's divine bonus strength, but also one's divine power strength. However, one that simply increased the divine power strength was incomparable with the other, which greatly increased attacking power. Chapter 2504. An important guest, the second form of the Primordial Void, Celestial Body, which merely increased Jian Wushuang's divine powers by 3 folds, did not help much in increasing his attack powers. It was because he had to convert the divine powers into the attack powers before manifesting it. Such power conversion reduced the power's efficacy and finally resulted in only about 30 to 40% of an increase in Jian Wushuang's overall strength. As for 9 Sparkle Stars armor, the star-guided attack mechanism directly intensified the attack power which Jian Wushuang manifested. His overall strength was doubled up, hence the 2 techniques were incomparable. The black armor alone has doubled up my overall strength. I can try to cultivate the gold armor with my current realm level. Jian Wushuang was electrified. He began to sit cross-legged and continued meditating upon the gold armor chapter. Time flew and half a month passed in a flash. Jian Wushuang was still sitting in the chamber when suddenly a layer of bright golden light appeared on the surface of his divine body. The golden light was like a gold armor covering his entire body. Jian Wushuang had his eyes closed while his blood mountain sword quivered in his hand. A bloody sword shadow intent swept across the entire area and instantly filled the chamber with an ocean of sword intent. A shrill sound resonated across the chamber. It's done. Jian Wushuang opened his eyes. He could not contain his excitement, which was shown through his shining bright eyes. The gold armor chapter has been cultivated. My attack power has increased by 3 times from the gold armor's guidance, which means that my overall strength has also increased by 3-fold. Jian Wushuang murmured. Tripling his overall strength was undoubtedly a huge improvement. Before Jian Wushuang cultivated the 9 Sparkle Stars armor secret technique, his combat prowess had already surpassed the early stages of Divine Demon. His combat prowess was close to a high-level ultimate god, but still not enough for him to engage in a duel with Yunjun. With his overall strength increased by 3 times, Jian Wushuang would be able to fight against Yunjun. Although it was still uncertain if he could defeat Yunjun, he knew he was sufficiently strong to be a threat toward Yunjun. On the other hand, there was absolutely no hope for Yunjun to defeat Jian Wushuang. The only reason why Jian Wushuang was not absolutely certain over winning Yunjun was that Yunjun might hold a trump card. If nothing was hidden, Jian Wushuang was confident he could defeat Yunjun in a duel based on Yunjun's combat prowess at the time they besieged and killed strange old foe. It's a pity I'm only in the Divine Demon realm. The highest level I can cultivate the 9 Sparkle Stars armor is at the Gold Armor chapter. If I can proceed to the 3rd level, which is the previous armor chapter, not will it improve my overall strength, but upon full achievement, You'll be able to manifest the special techniques in 9 Sparkle Stars armor, Jian Wushuang muttered to himself. Some powerful secret techniques were accompanied by special action techniques. For instance, the divine god of punishment had 2 special action techniques, prison of punishment and extermination of criminals. Both were killer moves. The 9 Sparkle Stars armor also had special techniques, but its threshold was higher. Only after cultivating the Treasure Armor chapter could one its first special technique, the Star Armor Domain. The Star Armor Domain was initiated by the Star Armor itself. Not only was the domain power extremely terrifying, but also had no conflicts against any other domain methods. Jian Wushuang imagined the day when he crossed over to the ultimate god realm, achieved a breakthrough in his swordsmanship, and gained control over a sword world. He will first subdue his opponent with the sword world before applying both Prison of Punishment and Star Armor Domain on his opponent. That action would be equivalent to 3 great domain techniques superimposed on his opponent. How strong would its effect be? Unfortunately, he was still very far from his aspirations. Anyway, my life-saving ability has improved greatly with the 9 Sparkle Star Armor secret technique. My overall strength has also increased by 3-folds. It's a great overall achievement. At least my efforts to source for instrument cultivation materials to make the life armor didn't go to waste. Jian Wushuang smiled, feeling pleased. He was happy to have cultivated the gold armor chapter. His happiness did not last long. Shuang'er, his father in his current life, Shui Yunfeng, sent him a message. "Father, what's the matter?" Jian Wushuang answered while trying to suppress his joy. "Shuang'er, please come back quickly if you are free now. We have a special guest at home," said Shui Yunfeng. "Special guest?" Jian Wushuang was startled. Jian Wushuang had proven his extraordinary strength, to which elevated his status. He was no longer inferior to many people and even the lords of many sections. Shui Yunfeng was fully aware of that. Under such circumstances, who could possibly be considered as a special guest to him? "Father, who's the guest?" Jian Wushuang asked curiously. "It's Taoist Xian Shun." Shui Yunfeng answered solemnly. Jian Wushuang's eyes widened. "Taoist Xian Shun, the one who arrived at Blazing Moon City after I was born and gave me the name Jian Wushuang upon careful calculation of my birth date? For Jian Wushuang. Taoist Xian Shun was the only person in Wusha wilderness which Jian Wushuang was curious and envious of. However, Jian Wushuang did not see Taoist Xian Shun as his enemy. Taoist Xian Shun showed up once when I was born and gave me my name before disappearing. I have never heard from him all these years, and he miraculously appears again at this point in time. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes. "Father, do you know why Taoist Xian Shun visited?" Jian Wushuang asked. "I don't know, but he's here for you." After arriving at our mansion, he bluntly said he wanted to see you and told me to send you a message, replied Shui Yunfeng. "I got it, Father. Please ask Taoist Xian Shun to stay for a while." "He'll be back soon," said Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang dared not neglect the mysterious and unpredictable Taoist Xian Shun. He thought the Taoist might even know everything. After Jian Wushuang got the news, he rushed home as quickly as possible. Not long after, Jian Wushuang had returned to the governor's mansion in the Blazing Moon City. In a large greeting hall, Shui Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin were seated there with a few servants standing right behind them. As for Zhuo Bing and Zhuo Peng, they had returned to their respective sects long ago. Beside the hall was a barefooted old man in a plain green robe with white hair and a beard. His eyes were squinted while sitting there waiting. On a chair beside the barefooted old man was a piece of canvas with the characters psychic and fortune-telling. "Is he Taoist Xian Shun?" Jian Wushuang walked into the hall, saw the barefooted old man at first glance, and was rather amazed. Looking at the barefooted old man, Jian Wushuang was fascinated as he was unable to read that old man at all. Just as Jian Wushuang had thought, the barefooted old man was unpredictable, like an infinite ocean. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and headed towards the old man. Chapter 25:05. Xian Shun's advice. 1. Junior Jian Wushuang greets Taoist Master Xian Shun. Jian Wushuang bowed very humbly. There was almost no one qualified to be greeted in such a way by Jian Wushuang throughout Wushao Wilderness. However, Taoist Xian Shun before him was undoubtedly qualified to accept such politeness. The barefooted old gentleman who sat on the chair gradually opened his eyes and looked at Zhui Yunfeng. Governor Zhua, would you mind if I have a word with the kid? As you wish, Taoist master. Zhui Yunfeng and his wife immediately stood up and exited the hall with their servants. Shortly after, only Jian Wushuang and Taoist Xian Shun were left in the main hall. Taoist Xian Shun casually waved his hand and manifested a layer of restrictive barrier around the main hall to prevent others from hearing their conversation. Kid, I know about you. Taoist Xian Shun gazed at Jian Wushuang calmly, with his eyes like a clear pool of water, as though he had completely seen through Jian Wushuang. You know me? Jian Wushuang was perplexed. Taoist Xian Shun said, I know everything about you, which includes your past, present, and future life. Sir, Jian Wushuang was startled and about to inquire. Taoist Xian Shun waved his hand and stopped him from talking. I know you have a lot of questions, but there are some matters you better off be ignorant about. The reason I'm here to see you now is to give you advice on certain matters. Jian Wushuang focused and listened. 1. You and I are on the same side in camp. You shouldn't doubt this. The reason is that I come from the 7 Stars Black Sect, and your Master Xian Yi has a very close relationship with me, said Taoist Xian Shun. Jian Wushuang nodded, as there was nothing to doubt about what Taoist Xian Shun just said. He had guessed earlier on that even if Taoist Xian Shun was not from 7 Star Black Sect, he was at least on his side. The reason being he knew about everything, such as Jian Wushuang's birthplace in his next reincarnation life, and even visited on the day he was born to name him Jian Wushuang. The reincarnation passage was a deep mystery that even the will of Heavenly Wei did not know where he would be born. However, Taoist Xian Shun knew about it. Obviously, the only logical explanation was Xian Yi, who personally sent Jian Wushuang into the reincarnation passage, had told Xian Shun about it. That alone was enough to prove Taoist Xian Shun and Xian Yi were on the same side and shared deep relations. Jian Wushuang had even guessed the Taoist Xian Shun in front of him could be Lord of 7 Stars Black Sect. 7 Stars Black Sect had 3 supreme figures during their peak. Xian Yu, Lord of 7 Stars Black Sect, Xian Yan, Lord of Divine Punishment Palace, and Xian Yi, the most unique person in the 7 Stars Black Sect, and also Jian Wushuang's master. Among the 3 of them, Xian Yi's cultivation level was undetermined, while both Xian Yu and Xian Yan were realm lords. During the Great War, 7 Stars Black Sect was toppled, but quite a number of their highest level experts had survived. Perhaps Lord of 7 Stars Black Sect was also still alive. However, that was naturally Jian Wushuang's speculation. Whether Taoist Xian Shun before him was really Lord of 7 Stars Black Sect was something he could not be certain about and naturally would not dare to ask. Taoist Xian Shun continued, Secondly, it's about you being a perfect chaotic creature. A perfect chaotic creature is a creature second to none in the heavens and earth. A long time ago, your Master Xian Yi was the first perfect chaotic creature to ever exist in the world. After he died, his remaining consciousness has spent tremendous effort and sacrifice until the last bit of his consciousness has completely evaporated just to make you who you are today. However, a perfect chaotic creature isn't acceptable by Heavenly Way. The will of Heavenly Way would use every method possible to destroy you so that the balance of Heavenly Way could be maintained. You have probably sensed this. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and said, "MMHM, I've heard about it. When I made a breakthrough to the divine demon realm in Saint's Tomb and metamorphosed into a perfect chaotic creature, the world outside underwent radical changes. Furthermore, the energy of the will of Heavenly Way was concentrating, but for whatever reason, it evaporated before it could be fully formed. The will of Heavenly Way would not disappear for no reason. It vanished because I did it," said Taoist Xian Shun. "You drove it away?" Jian Wushuang was shocked. The energy from the will of Heavenly Way represented both the Heavenly Way and cycle of heaven. In order to drive the energy away, Taoist Xian Shun's abilities must be. Taoist Xian Shun smiled faintly. "Don't feel too shocked. Although its energy is strong, it isn't as terrifying as you have imagined. The will of Heavenly Way is constantly in control of the ancient God domain, and there are many rules of heaven that it couldn't defy by itself after all. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. Moreover, Wusha Wilderness is located beyond the third heaven. It can be considered as the outermost edge of the ancient God domain, a place where the will of Heavenly Way was the weakest. The will of Heavenly Way which concentrated and formed here is thin and weak. It's really not that strong." It was easy for Taoist Xian Shun to say, but Jian Wushuang would still not take it lightly. That was the will of Heavenly Way. Even with various restrictions and his current location, which was where it was the weakest, its energy could probably still be insanely powerful when concentrated and formed. Under the will of Heavenly Way's threat, an undying saint was probably only as powerful as an ant. In order to drive the will of Heavenly Way away, one had to have powers of at least higher than an undying saint or even that of a realm lord. The Taoist Xian Shun before him was most probably a realm lord. Jian Wushuang, even though the will of Heavenly Way's energy has been driven away by me when it formed, the will of Heavenly Way has already noticed your existence. Luckily, I've fooled the divine intelligence on time. Although it realizes the second perfect chaotic creature has been born between heaven and earth, it doesn't know where you are, so it's impossible for it to harm you again. Of course, if you trigger a huge event once again, the will of Heavenly Way could probably track you down, said Taoist Xian Shun. Trigger a huge event. What huge event could catch the will of Heavenly Way's attention? Is it to get incredibly famous in ancient God domain, or something? Jian Wushuang asked. No, regardless how famous you become in ancient God domain doesn't affect the cycle of heaven. Hence the will of Heavenly Way wouldn't pay attention to you. What I mean by huge event, are you utilizing the tactics and abilities unique to a perfect chaotic creature? For example, that perfect life rating pressure which you unleashed, Taoist Xian Shun said. Jian Wushuang was slightly stunned. Taoist Xian Shun even knew about the life rating pressure. He obviously had a deep knowledge of perfect chaotic creatures. One could even say he knew everything about it. Jian Wushuang, you definitely have to master the perfect life rating pressure after you become a perfect chaotic creature. Try oppressing me with it, said Taoist Xian Shun. Chapter 2506. Xian Shun's advice to Jian Wushuang did not hesitate. As he concentrated his mind, the terrifying life rating pressure began to push forward. Under that pressure, even an undying saint would have to directly kneel down without the slightest bit of capability to endure it. However, Taoist Xian Shen seemed calm and composed when facing the pressure without showing a trace of discomfort. "That's good enough," said Daoist Xian Shen. Jian Wushuang immediately retracted the pressure. "Not bad. It's exactly the same as your master Xian Yi's pressure, since both came from an extremely strong life rating pressure. This kind of pressure is oblivious of one's abilities or cultivation level and only depends on the organic structure. Unfortunately, you have only very recently become a perfect chaotic creature. The pressure you emitted isn't considered too overpowering yet. When you get to your master's level, you can oppress billions of lives as soon as you concentrate your mind and make countless gods and demons to worship you," said Daoist Xian Shen. A trace of desire and longing was shining through Jian Wushuang's eyes. He truly wished to become an earth-shattering super expert like his master, who could directly cause the heavenly way to shiver, and as soon as he focused his mind, the will of heavenly way would immediately fall apart. However, he was still way too far from that level. "Jian Wushuang, you'll have to stop using life rating pressure from now on. You can use it during desperate, life-threatening situations, but you have to leave the territory as swiftly as possible once you do that," advised Daoist Xian Shen. Would this move startle the will of heavenly way? Jian Wushuang asked. "MMHM, the will of heavenly way is weaker beyond the third heaven. If you merely unleash it once or twice, perhaps the will of heavenly way won't be able to find you. However, if you use it many times, the will of heavenly way will definitely be able to track down your location. When that time comes, ITL'll wipe you out right away." Daoist Xian Shen nodded. "Then what I just did," Jian Wushuang was shocked. "What you just did won't cause issues, as I'm right beside you, and the will of heavenly way has faded," said Daoist Xian Shen. Jian Wushuang sighed in relief. "Sir, I've made up my mind to use life rating pressure as my last resort. I'll never use it unless I'm in desperate situations," said Jian Wushuang. Daoist Xian Shen smiled. "Very well. Other than the will of heavenly way, the three great sacred realm lords have probably realized your existence at this point. They will do whatever they can to track you down and kill you, hence there are a lot more things you need to be careful about. You have to be extra mindful every step of the way after 3 days' time. As long as you take a wrong step, not only you, but also 7 Stars Black Sect, including their sealed part of heaven, and earth would fall into an unredeemable state." "I understand," said Jian Wushuang. Daoist Xian Shen spoke again. "Finally, third is being respectful. A perfect chaotic creature is perfect in every way and has an extremely strong ability to keep himself alive. It's totally impossible for regular cultivators to kill a perfect chaotic creature, but that doesn't mean a perfect chaotic creature won't die. The world is huge, hence you need to have a respectful heart towards heavens, earth, and the ancient god domain by continuing your path carefully at every step of the way, since even at your master Xianyi's level, he still died in the end. Whatever you plan to do, you must make sure you can survive. As long as you're alive, you can take your time to fight for opportunities. So don't be hasty and don't worry about what happens in the sealed heaven and earth. I've been waiting for so many years, and I don't mind waiting a little longer." Jian Wushuang nodded firmly and kept every single advice and warning given by Daoist Xian Shen in his heart and mind. He truly had too much burden. Furthermore, he had way too many enemies. Other than will of heavenly way, there were still the lords of the 3 divine realms and 3 sacred realms. In addition to that were the 4 god tribes, 8 heavenly sects. In such situations, he could not afford to take even a single wrong step. As Daoist Xian Shen said, he would lose the whole chess game from being careless. If he took just one wrong move, it would send himself, eternal chaotic world, and 7 Stars Black Sect to eternal damnation. "Ah, yes. I also bring this small thing that I refined for you. said Daoist Xianshen. He flipped his hand and presented a piece of black stone. The black stone looked very normal, just like any regular stone. Senior, this black stone is… Jian Wushuang perplexedly stared at the black stone. This is just a normal black-colored stone, which I randomly picked up from the ground. However, I've refined it such that I've imposed a layer of magic matrix on it, which will change your divine power aura, said Daoist Xianshen. Changing my divine power aura? How? Jian Wushuang asked. After absorbing this black stone, as long as you're below the undying saint realm, your divine power aura would be raised by 2 levels under the magic matrix influence. For example, you're currently at the level of the 2nd-class divine demon realm. After absorbing the black stone, the divine power aura, which you project, would be 2 levels higher than your actual, showing that of a peak divine demon. Of course, only the divine power aura will change, but your actual ability will not. Daoist Xianshen smiled. The way Daoist Xianshen explained was very casual. However, Jian Wushuang's eyes were shining with excitement. Raising the divine power aura that he projected was incredibly useful to Jian Wushuang. The reason being that he was only a 2nd-class divine demon, but his battle strength was close to a high-level ultimate god. It was quite extraordinary, with such terrifying level-skipping capability. If he was battling in front of many people, displaying this terrifying ability to skip levels would shock everyone, as that was beyond their understanding. They would not even be able to describe him with words like demon or monster. Such a situation would be too obvious and defying nature, hence it would end up catching too much attention. In short, it was too obvious. Now that he had the black stone, his divine power aura could reach the level of peak divine demon. If he defeated a primary level ultimate god in public, he would still cause a stir, but at least it was somewhat an acceptable phenomenon. Even though it was extremely rare to find a divine demon who could defeat an ultimate god, it was still possible to find one from the huge number of talented people in the ancient god domain. It could be considered as a coincidental discovery. However, a 2nd-class divine demon defeating a primary level ultimate god was a non-existent occurrence in the ancient god domain. Naturally, nobody would comprehend it. If that were to occur in Wuxia wilderness where the various sects had not seen much of the world, they would only feel incredibly stunned. However, if true experts witnessed something of that sort, they would immediately realize Jian Wushuang held a big secret, and that would bring him endless troubles. Hence, the black stone was of utmost importance to him. Chapter 2507, Thunderous Star Beast. Thank you, Senior. Jian Wushuang accepted the black stone and refined it on the spot. After that, he began driving his divine powers. As expected, his divine power aura had reached the level of peak divine demon. With help from the black stone, even if I defeat an ultimate god in public, it wouldn't seem so unbelievable anymore. Jian Wushuang smiled. Oh yes, since you have been staying in Wuxia wilderness, you probably knew about Miss Xiao, who annihilated the Mu clan. Miss Xiao? That little lass. Daoist Xianshen smiled slightly and said, You don't have to worry about that lass. She's a friend, not an enemy. Jian Wushuang understood. All right, I've given you the necessary advice, plus the black stone. I'll make a move now. Daoist Xianshen stood up and once again held the fortune-telling canvas banner in his hand. Kid, keep up with your cultivation and keep on living. If you've made it to the pinnacle, you and I will then have an opportunity to meet again. Otherwise, there's no point in meeting again. Upon finishing his words, Daoist Xianshen immediately floated outward. Farewell, sir. Jian Wushuang appeared to be incredibly humble. Daoist Xianshen vanished in the blink of an eye. Shui Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin returned to the main hall. Shuang, what did Daoist Xianshan tell you? Shui Yunfeng asked. Nothing, he's just giving me some advice about things I should watch out for on my cultivation path from now on. Jian Wushuang laughed. Shui Yunfeng did not ask further. Father, mother, I've decided to leave Wusha Wilderness in a few days, said Jian Wushuang directly. Shui Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin looked at each other and smiled wryly. They had predicted Jian Wushuang would decide to do that. In fact, they were not the only ones who predicted so. All the sects in Wusha Wilderness did so as well. Jian Wushuang, the only super freak in ancient god domain, would absolutely not stay in a tiny pond like Wusha Wilderness. Shui Yunfeng and Luo Xinqin were both prepared for this. 5 days later, Jian Wushuang had made necessary arrangements for his affairs in Wusha Wilderness. The Great Compassion sect had already sent experts over to secretly protect his parents. Jian Wushuang left immediately after that. His departure did not cause any stir, as there were not many who knew him. Other than his parents, his big sister, and brother, he only informed Yunzhan and Wu Jin through a message. In his message to Yunzhan, he reminded the Great Compassion sect to keep their promises of keeping his parents safe. As for the message to Wu Jin, it was purely words of friendship. A month later, Jian Wushuang had left Wusha Wilderness and arrived at another wilderness. In a wide void where the weather was sunny, Jian Wushuang was clad in a golden robe with his long sword on his back and slowly walking. Suddenly, whoosh! In the void, not too far ahead, lightning tore through the sky and vanished from Jian Wushuang's sight in the blink of an eye. That's truly fast. It's close to the speed of an ultimate god unleashing his full power. Perhaps that flash of lightning was probably a flying wild beast, said Jian Wushuang to himself. In ancient god domain, other than human cultivators, there existed many kinds of wild beasts, spectacular beasts, mystic beasts, and ferocious beasts. Among them, wild beasts were the most mild-mannered ones. There were also many wild beasts that could move incredibly fast. Hence, certain powerful parties domesticated wild beasts to sell them to cultivators from all over. The cultivators would ride on wild beasts for their travels. Ancient god domain was not located in the dark void like the eternal chaotic world after all. People could make flying ships that were unaffected by space-time obstructions and move without fear in the eternal chaotic world. However, the ancient god domain was covered with vast lands, making flying ships practically useless to move across lands. It's quite far for me to go to the continent of Northern Darkstar from Wusha Wilderness. Going on foot will only be a waste of time, not to mention energy. I should probably think about purchasing a flying wild beast to ease my journey, said Jian Wushuang to himself. Northern Darkstar continent was the center of Northern Darkstar territory. It was the most bustling place in Northern Darkstar territory, and also the highest concentration of experts in the whole territory. The Lord of Northern Darkstar territory also permanently stayed in the Northern Darkstar continent. Jian Wushuang had departed from Wusha Wilderness and made the Northern Darkstar continent his first destination. I should go explore the surrounding cities, seek out places which sell wild beasts, and purchase one. Jian Wushuang decided. 2 days later, Jian Wushuang found a shop that specialized in selling wild beasts in one of the surrounding cities. Inside the shop, looks like you need a flying wild beast for your journey. The shopkeeper stood next to Jian Wushuang and smiled. Yes, what's your recommendation? Jian Wushuang asked. We have every kind of wild beast, but if you're looking for a flying type purely for your journey, the best choice would naturally be Thunderous Star Beast. It's very fast and possesses very strong legs. It can fly nonstop for a month or two without rest. The only issue is it's more on the expensive side, said the shopkeeper. Don't worry about the price. Tell me more about the Thunderous Star Beast speed, said Jian Wushuang. There are three kinds of thunderous star beasts: single horn, double horn, and triple horn. A single horn thunderous star beast's fastest speed is comparable to an ultimate god expert's ultimate speed, or perhaps even slightly faster. The price is 1,000 drops of ancient god divine power. Double horn thunderous star beast moves at 10 times the speed of an ultimate god, with its price being 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. The highest rank was the triple horn thunderous star beast, which can move 100 times faster than an ultimate god, and it's even more expensive, of course, and starts from 100,000 drops of ancient god divine power. We have all three types of thunderous star beast. Which one would you like? The shopkeeper's introduction was very detailed. If my guess is right, the thunderous star beast speed is not that consistent. Am I right? Jian Wushuang asked. Why, of course, if the thunderous star beast could unleash that speed in any environment, then its price would be much higher. Thunderous star beast and most of the other wild beasts only have one shortcoming: they are very cowardly. It wouldn't be a problem during normal circumstances. However, if you want to rely on the thunderous star beast to escape during a battle, that would be absolutely impossible, as when the aura of a slightly stronger divine demon pushes in, it was enough to make a thunderous star beast freeze, said the shopkeeper. Really? Jian Wushuang understood, and soon made a decision. Give me a double horn thunderous star beast then. A double horn thunderous star beast speed was 10 times faster than an ultimate god, making it already extremely fast. Jian Wushuang did not need anything faster than that. Please give me a few moments. The shopkeeper got excited and went to prepare. Chapter 25:08. The escort team Jian Wushuang soon went up to the double-horned thunderous star beast's back and continued his journey. The beast was rather huge, as it was over 3 meters tall. Jian Wushuang sat cross-legged on its back. With a flip of his palm, an ancient and mysterious scroll appeared in his palm. Fengtian scroll. He never had a chance to quiet down and study it in detail, since Jian Wushuang accepted the Fengtian scroll from Crimson Stone Saint. Now that the thunderous star beast would carry him for the remaining journey, he could finally focus his efforts on studying it. It was also the reason he deliberately bought a double-horned thunderous star beast. Jian Wushuang closed his eyes while blending his senses into Fengtian's scroll. He began researching his sword principles, space-time, and transmigration laws based on the universe's mysteries hidden in Fengtian's scroll. Following the rise of his understanding, Jian Wushuang soon discovered that his understanding for the first time through Fengtian's scroll, while in Saint's Tomb was the most effective one, and the consecutive effects were a lot less than before. However, it was still faster than trying to achieve solely with his own abilities. Time flew by. Another 3 months had passed. Jian Wushuang had traveled across 10 wildernesses, with the double-horned thunderous star beast charging ahead at full speed throughout the 3 months. At the same time, he had achieved quite a bit of improvement with the assistance of Fengtian's scroll. He had improved a great deal in terms of sword principles, but the most crucial improvement was his further realization of laws. For instance, he could only form 2 apparitions at the same time before that using space-time law, but he could now form a total of 6, for more than before. For many experts who studied space-time law, it was extremely difficult to achieve this within a few decades or even a century. However, relying on his own intelligence and the Fengtian scroll's assistance, Jian Wushuang had achieved such in merely 3 months. Jian Wushuang held a piece of jade slip while checking the direction ahead before mumbling to himself. Following this direction, the Dark Thunder Territory should be up ahead. Dark Thunder Territory is a place I must cross to reach the northern Darkstar continent. It's also the most dangerous area throughout the entire journey. This territory is huge and borderless with countless thievery and killings everywhere. Thieves, They were everywhere regardless of the eternal chaotic world of his past life or the ancient god domain in this current. The only difference was those thieves in ancient god domain were a lot more powerful and systematic. Despite addressing them as thieves, they were actually the regional political regimes. For example, there were countless thieves residing in Dark Thunder territory and had organized their own political powers, with each occupying a mountain. Among them, the 18 prefectures were the most powerful. The 18 prefectures had been deeply rooted in Dark Thunder territory for a very long time, with its total powers no weaker than some dominating sects in certain wildernesses. In fact, they might probably be stronger. As the number one dominant sect of Wuxia Wilderness, the Great Compassion sect's strongest battle strength constituted only one high-level and 3 low-level ultimate gods. However, any of the prefectures in the Dark Thunder territory's 18 prefectures would possess a few ultimate gods. There were also many high-level ultimate gods among them. On usual days, the 18 prefectures would go about their regular businesses without much friendliness. They would sometimes even fight with each other to protect their respective interests. However, all 18 prefectures would work together whenever a crisis occurred, and their collective power formed was something to be feared. It was because of such that even though the 18 prefectures constantly robbed and took over various parts of Dark Thunder territory, nobody could do anything against them. Even the most powerful clan in the northern Darkstar continent would not simply take action against the 18 prefectures. In reality, the only person who was capable enough and dared to destroy the 18 prefectures throughout the Wuxia Wilderness was perhaps the mighty territorial lord himself. Unfortunately, the 18 prefectures never offended the territorial lord, and the territorial lord also had no intentions of wasting his time on them. There are too many thieves in Dark Thunder territory. I can't imagine how much trouble would come my way if I entered with my double-horned, thunderous star beast. I'd better find a strong escort team to go with me, murmured Jian Wushuang to himself. He immediately began searching on the outer rim of Dark Thunder territory, and soon found a place where cultivators gathered. At the gathering spot, a huge number of cultivators were present, and just like Jian Wushuang, all of them wanted to cross Dark Thunder territory. Every pair of eyes immediately looked over at Jian Wushuang when he appeared at the gathering spot with his double-horned thunderous star beast. Double-horned thunderous star beast. Thunderous star beasts have always been the best wild beasts to travel with, and the most expensive one as well. The double-horned thunderous star beast probably costs 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. It's a lot more than a regular peak divine demon's entire net worth. I'm afraid this is no regular person, since he is able to ride a double-horned thunderous star beast. At the very least, his net worth must be out of the ordinary. All eyes were focused on Jian Wushuang. Someone soon walked directly toward Jian Wushuang. Brother, you must be planning to cross Dark Thunder territory. Join our Xiongfeng escort team. Well, make sure your entire journey is smooth and free of obstructions. Get out of here. What Xiongfeng escort team? You're just a second-class escort team. How dare you guarantee a smooth sail? Brother, you are better off with the Xinhu escort team. We are a true first-class escort team who are a lot more reliable than the Xiongfeng or whatever they call themselves. As for our asking rate, it's really not that much. It only costs you 5,000 drops of ancient god divine power. 5,000? Humph, our Xian escort team is also first class, but we only charge 3,000 drops of ancient god divine power. One by one, the escort teams invited Jian Wushuang to hire them. Those escort teams were specialized in protecting cultivators to cross Dark Thunder territory, and cultivators would naturally have to pay them some fees for services rendered. First-class escort teams were considered some of the more capable escort teams, as they usually had ultimate god experts at the helm. Some of the escort team members approached Jian Wushuang because he rode a double-horned thunderous star beast and assumed he was rich. Jian Wushuang felt weird from watching those few men around him competing for business. Just at that moment, look, isn't that Shuya escort team? Shuya escort team? A Crimson-class escort team? The entire gathering spot was stirred with many cultivators who began looking at a specific area in the void. In the void stood a few peaked divine demons carrying a flag with a bloody tooth pattern sewed on it. Their cold voices resonated above the cultivators' gathering spot. The Shuya escort team will begin our journey towards Dark Thunder territory in 3 days. We can escort 50 cultivators at a time, which means we have 50 spots to fill. The spots are obviously limited, so if you want us to escort you, please come to me and sign up immediately. As for the escorting fees, it's 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power each. Chapter 2509, Dark Thunder Territory, 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power as your fees. That's so expensive. Naturally, they are a Crimson-class escort team in Dark Thunder territory. Even the 18 prefectures would have to think twice before doing anything within a Crimson-class escort team's presence. As for regular thieves, they can only escape when they run into Crimson-class escorts with no chance of carrying out their robbery. You would almost not run into any troubles with a Crimson-class escort team protecting you. I would really love to sign up since the Crimson-class escort team's protection is way more secure than second-class or first-class teams. My survival chance would rise greatly. It's a shame I can't afford to pay 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. A large number of cultivators began to discuss in the gathering spot, and very soon some went to sign up. There were even more people who were dying to join. Unfortunately, not everybody could afford 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. Shuya escort team. Huh? Jian Wushuang squinted slightly. The next moment, he hopped off of his double-horned, thunderous star beast's back, dragging the animal with him, and walked towards the Shuya escort team. The rest of the escort teams that went up to invite Jian Wushuang could only sigh without harassing him further upon seeing that. Jian Wushuang went up to the registrar. The person in charge was a tall, middle-aged man who held a crimson tooth flag. "I'm here to sign up," said Jian Wushuang. Double-horned, thunderous star beast. The middle-aged man looked at the beast next to Jian Wushuang instead. After pondering for a while, he said, "If you want to join the Shuya escort team, you will need to pay 30,000 drops of ancient god divine power as escort fees." 30,000 for the fees. People around were shocked when they heard that. 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power was already comparable to the net worth of a peak divine demon. Perhaps only an incredibly rich peak divine demon could afford 30,000 drops. Why charge me 30,000? Jian Wushuang questioned. Because of the beast. The middle-aged man poised at the double-horned thunderous star beast and said in a straightforward manner, "Double-horned thunderous star beast is worth 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. In Dark Thunder territory, the thieves would know how much you're worth as soon as they see your beast, and that will give them ideas. It's a greater risk for us to bear. As such, the fee you'll have to pay is naturally higher than the others. 30,000 is considered cheap. Feel free to find other ways if you can't accept the deal. Perhaps you can opt to sell the beast right here and come back to sign up. The Shuya escort team will then only charge you 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power." Is that so? Jian Wushuang understood and felt their prices were reasonable. He immediately flipped his wrist and presented an interspatial ring. "There are 30,000 drops of ancient god divine power in here." The middle-aged man then took it and did a quick scan before nodding and said, Hey, race your token and wait on the side. Well, leave after 3 days. Jian Wushuang held the token and went aside to wait. 3 days quickly passed by. Within those 3 days, the Shuya escort team's 50 slots were filled up. Over 20 figures rushed over from the void beside the area. Captain, all the 50 cultivators that were escorting have geared up. We're ready to depart at any time. The middle-aged man, who held the flag, stood respectfully next to a woman in purple armor. The purple-armored woman had a seductively hot body. Her face was extremely pretty with also a vigorous air between her eyes which projected a heroic demeanor. The aura projected from her was also extremely overpowering. She was obviously at the level of an ultimate god. Behind her were 2 other people standing beside each other, who are most probably ultimate god as well. Good gracious, it's just an escort team, and there are 3 ultimate gods. The rest of them appeared to be peak divine demons too. Jian Wushuang, who was sitting cross-legged on the double-horned thunderous star beast's back, looked around, scanned each of the members of the Shuya escort team, and felt quite surprised. 3 ultimate gods, and over 20 peak divine demons. If a lineup like that appeared in any of the regular wildernesses, they could totally pick a fight with a dominant sect like the Great Compassion sect. However, they merely appeared before him as an escort team. There's nothing else to prepare. Let's just depart, ordered the purple-armored woman. The middle-aged man nodded. Jian Wushuang and the rest of their clients soon began to enter dark thunder territory under the accompaniment of the Shuya escort team. Although dark thunder territory was a territory, its actual size was 5 or 6 times larger than that of a regular territory. It would take a very long time to cross over the dark thunder territory. However, Jian Wushuang did not care. After entering the dark thunder territory, he ordered his double-horned thunderous star beast to slow down its speed and keep its pace to match with the others while he sat cross-legged on its back and carried on with his studies. He did not take note or get involved with other matters, nor did he converse with anyone. The cultivators taking the journey with him would sometimes glance over at him with slight jealousy. Among the 50 cultivators being escorted by Shuya escort team, only Jian Wushuang was sitting on a double-horned thunderous star beast, while most of those people were striding by themselves. It was understandable, as one double-horned thunderous star beast had already cost 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. With an escort fee of 30,000 added in, it would amount to a grand total of 40,000 drops of ancient god divine power. It was not an amount anybody in the group could afford to spend. Time flew by, and a month had passed in the blink of an eye. In the past month, everything was peaceful within the group. Although there were some thieves who appeared to check out the situations, they fled in horror as soon as they saw the lineup of the escort team. Therefore, there were no thieves who dared to appear before the Shuya escort team up to that point, let alone one that carried out a robbery. One day, the scent of blood, the purple-armored woman who led the escort team, and also their captain suddenly stopped her pace. This scent seems to have come from ahead. Somebody's probably fighting. Let's go take a look, mumbled the purple-armored woman. The Shuya escort team did not choose to take a detour. There was no need. Crimson-class escort teams were free to roam as they pleased within the Dark Thunder territory, as long as they did not run into the 18 prefectures. Regular thieves would have to take a detour around them instead. The escort team kept pushing forward until they soon saw a battle that was close to its end. On the battlefield, two groups of cultivators were killing each other in a frenzy. One party was clearly on the losing side and almost faltered completely, with many of them beginning to plead for forgiveness. Unfortunately, their plea was in vain, as the opposing party showed no mercy and slaughtered them without any hesitation. In the blink of an eye, that escort team and those cultivators they had sworn to protect were mostly killed, with only an extreme few who managed to flee from the scene. Chapter 25:10. The Robbery Thieves. These are the thieves of the Dark Thunder territory. They wouldn't show mercy even if you begged for it. I know this escort team. It's Linghu escort team. They seem to be a second-class escort team and had invited me to join them before. Luckily, I didn't. Otherwise, second-class escort team. Second-class escort teams in Dark Thunder territory are those who live on the edge of death. Hiring them for protection would give you a 50% survival chance at max. The first-class teams are a little better, with at least 60 to 70% survival chance, since they have ultimate god experts at the helm after all. Under the escorts of Crimson-class teams, we have an absolute 90% chance to cross over Dark Thunder territory alive. Many cultivators around Jian Wushuang were sighing upon looking at the sight in the battlefield ahead. The battlefield thieves noticed Shuya escort team's arrival as well, and their team's lineup immediately brought panic to them. Go, let's get out of here now. With 3 ultimate gods, they are a Crimson-class escort team, for sure. We can't mess with them. Run! Following their leader's orders, the thieves immediately dispersed while trembling with fear. Such a sight made all the cultivators around Jian Wushuang laugh. Haha, that was quick. They don't seem to be too foolish. Crimson-class escort teams are a whole other story compared to the second-class escort team that they just annihilated. If they don't escape, and the personnel from Shuya escort team charged at them, they will be slaughtered. The cultivators were even more confident towards Shuya escort team after their discussions, laughter, and seeing those thieves' reactions. They pushed on. Another 3 months went by like a flash. Adding on to the prior 1 month's journey, they had traveled for 4 months, and Shuya escort team had arrived at the central region of Dark Thunder territory. It was still the same territory and did not look any different from other wildernesses. However, the Dark Thunder territory's central region had a thin veil of blood-colored fog in the air. That blood-colored fog was obviously caused by constant fighting and slaughtering. The Shuya escort team moved forward slowly and consistently. Once they finally arrived at the central region, even escort team members, including the 3 ultimate gods leading the team, began to look solemn. Not far from them in the void, a group of almost 100 people gathered. Boss, we've thoroughly investigated that the escort team nearby is a Crimson-class escort team. They have a total of 3 ultimate gods, and all of them are lower-class ultimate gods. As for peak divine demons, they have 22 of them as well. A thin and weak-looking young man reported with a cold glint in his eyes. Standing before him was a man clad in black with eyes that were cold like a blade's edge. 3 lower-class ultimate gods and 22 peak divine demons. A lineup like this can only be considered normal among Crimson-class escort teams. How about the cultivators they're protecting? Anyone we should take note of? Asked the man in black. No, I've carefully checked those 50 cultivators who are being escorted. Most of them are only second-class or first-class divine demons, with a few third-class divine demons and chaotic realm cultivators. As for peak divine demons, there aren't many. We don't really have to worry. Oh yeah, there's one among them who rides on a double-horned, thunderous star beast, said the thin youth. Double-horned, thunderous star beast. The man in black's eyes flickered. One who had means to ride a double-horned, thunderous star beast must be a rich person. Boss, should we do it? Asked the thin youth with anticipation. The many thieves around also looked over with excitement. The man in black shouted straight away, "Of course! It ain't easy waiting for this big sheep. Besides, there's nobody else around to compete with us. Why won't we do it? A Crimson-class escort team, aren't they? The Celestial Beast Alliance are no rookies either. Just follow my lead." The man in black led those 100 thieves and glided directly toward Shuya escort team. The Shuya escort team was still moving forward slowly out in the void. Just then, whoosh, 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 whoosh. Air friction noises were heard continuously from afar as individual energies began to enter the parameter of their soul perception one at a time. Thieves, prepare for battle. The purple-armored woman's face turned stern. How dare they rob the Shuya escort team? Are they tired of living? The experts in the Shuya escort team were startled and unsheathed their weapons in preparation to fight. The figures soon began to appear in the void, surrounding them with as many as around 100 thieves. Any one of them had an overpowering aura, with the weakest being first-class divine demons. There were also dozens of peak divine demons within their ranks. The most eye-catching ones among the thieves were their 4 leaders. Their auras obviously showed they were at the ultimate god realm. So many experts, 4 ultimate gods, and dozens of peak divine demons. No wonder they have the guts to rob us. Their lineup is so strong. Don't tell me they're from the 18 prefectures. The many cultivators under Shuya escort team's protection began to panic. Even the expert members of the escort team wore grim expressions on their faces. 4 ultimate gods. The purple-armored woman's face was void of expressions as her eyes scanned through those thieves before suddenly speaking in a low voice. Happy to meet you. In the captain of Shuya escort team, Xiao Qiexin. I wonder, which one of the 18 prefectures are you from? The man in black grinned. 18 prefectures? Am not from the 18 prefectures. Am the leader of Celestial Beast Alliance. Celestial Beast Alliance. The purple-armored woman, called Xiao Qiexin, was surprised. There were countless thieves dwelling in the Dark Thunder territory with many thievery powers that were quite capable other than those 18 prefectures who were considered the strongest. For example, the Celestial Beast Alliance was almost as powerful as the 18 prefectures. Shuya escort team? Thanks, I've heard of you. I hear your captain is a woman and has a hot, sexy body. I take that it's you? The fire of desire was burning in the black-clad man's eyes while staring at Xiao Qiexin. Gentlemen from the Celestial Beast Alliance, we never had any run-in with you. Within this interspatial ring are 50,000 drops of ancient god divine power. Let's just treat it as a gift from us. Please give us some conveniences to pass, said Xiao Qiexin grimly. 50,000 drops of ancient god divine power? Do you think we're beggars? Let me tell you something. You'd better give us 500,000 drops of ancient god divine power if you're smart, and he'll let all of you through. Otherwise, before the black-clad man finished speaking, a powerful and vicious aura was released from his body. Chapter 25:11. The captain's true colors, 500,000 drops of ancient god divine power? Xiao Qiexin's eyes turned stern. 500,000 drops of ancient god divine power was equal to 50 pieces of primordial stones. It was almost the net worth of an ultimate god. There were 50 cultivators the Shuya escort team was escorting, with each being charged 10,000 for their service rendered. It only totaled slightly more than 500,000 drops of ancient god divine power. That black-clad man was asking for 500,000 drops. The service would be carried out in vain if they gave it to him. Captain, what should we do? An ultimate god looked at her. Number 2, number 3, both of you follow me. As for the rest of you, think of a way to endure the thieves' attack. You don't need to endure long. Just hold on for 10 breaths will be enough, said Xiao Qiexin quietly. 10 breaths. The peak divine demons in the Shuya escort team exchanged glances. Even though their number was a lot less than their opponents, they were very skillful and could even hold on for 20 breaths, let alone just 10. Charge! Xiao Qiexin did not waste a second. Her figure had already dashed toward the four ultimate gods of Celestial Beast Alliance up ahead in a flash. A bewitching purple sickle appeared in her hand. The other two escort team's ultimate gods immediately followed suit. "Ha ha, you really want to fight? You're really seeking death." The black-clad man laughed out loud when he saw that. "Boys, destroy them and leave none alive." A huge number of thieves immediately screamed and shouted before charging at those peak divine demons of the Shuya escort team. The battle began in the blink of an eye. Right at this moment, the ultimate gods from both sides made contact. The Celestial Beast Alliance had 4 ultimate gods, while Shuya escort team only had 3. Xiao Tiexin, the escort team's captain, had an incredible stern face while holding her purple sickle with one hand. As she waved the sickle in the air, it left traces of purple lights in the void. Phew, phew, phew. It was evident Xiao Tiexin had only waved the sickle once, but 3 beams of bewitching purple blade light lashing out all of a sudden. Humph! The black-clad man was also leading the Celestial Beast Alliance crowd and felt no fear as he watched the purple blade light dashing over and waved the heavy sword in his hand. The sword had strong momentum and an extremely heavy strike. In an instant, beams of wave-like sword shadows carrying heaven-shaking energies swung outwards. The 3 beams of purple blade lights were suddenly shattered. However, Xiao Tiexin had already appeared right next to him before the black-clad man could even rejoice. At the same time, the purple sickle was cutting downward at him from above. A beam of stern blade light appeared, like thunder on a sunny day. "This woman is that fast." The black-clad man was slightly shocked, but his hand did not slow down. He swung his arm, and the heavy sword was already blocking his front. Twang! Under the strong impact of divine powers, the black-clad man could not steady himself, faltered, and sank a little. Right at that moment, the mysterious purple blade light appeared silent behind him. The cold blade light cut towards his head like cutting wheat. What? The black-clad men were startled. Xiao Tiexin's blade skill and speed were completely out of his expectations. Right at the most dangerous moment, he violently moved himself to the side. The cold blade light sliced through the air next to his ear. The sharp blade that drew across made his face feel icy cold. "Blindy, quick! Come help me!" shouted the black-clad man. A blind, white-haired old man with milky eyeballs behind him stepped forward. The aura of an ultimate god exploded outwards before joining hands with the black-clad man and began fighting against Xiao Tiexin. However, Xiao Tiexin's face remained as indifferent as before, even when both ultimate gods joined forces. The purple light, which was surging out of her body, formed a purple shadow out of nowhere behind her. The purple shadow was in the silhouette of a purple demon deity. As soon as the purple demon deity appeared, Xiao Tiexin's aura had surged by quite a lot. Her speed had violently surged further as she waved her purple sickle. Phew, 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 phew. Beams of bewitching purple blade light were unleashed one by one from Xiao Tiexin's actions. The blade light was heartbreakingly beautiful and delicate. Its speed was shocking fast, while the black-clad man and the white-haired old man, 2 ultimate gods, joined hands and gave their all. They were still completely overpowered by Xiao Tiexin and ended up losing to her time and again. In a few breaths' time, they were already on the brink of being crushed. Damn it, how could this woman be so powerful? 2 of us were fighting against only her, and yet we're still being overpowered. This woman's abilities are perhaps infinitely close to a high-level ultimate god. We won't be able to get anything with her around. "Boss, let's retreat," said the white-haired old man. Even though the black-clad man did not feel like conceding, Xiao Taixin's ever-increasing pressure along with his other party members not being able to gain an advantage in the remaining battles had forced him to decide on retreating. Fall back, retreat. It took no more than a short moment before those people from Celestial Beast Alliance had completely retreated. The experts of Shuya escort team, and those 50 cultivators they escorted sighed in relief upon seeing that. What followed immediately after that was a big roar in the void. This truly is a Crimson-class escort team. Even the Celestial Beast Alliance has been defeated head-on. Marvelous, absolutely marvelous. Especially the captain of the Shuya escort team. Both sides are ultimate gods, but she alone could actually overpower two opponents. This captain is just too amazing. All eyes were shining with respect and focusing on Xiao Tiexin. In the crowd, Jian Wushuang, who had been sitting straight on the back of his double-horned, thunderous star beast, had not flicked his finger once. He raised his head, took a glance at Xiao Tiexin, and secretly nodded. Good blade skills. She's very close to the first level of blade principles. She also has a very high level of law understanding. Moreover, the secret technique she performed is also very powerful. Her battle strength is truly great. Of course, Jian Wushuang was only praising her casually in his mind and closed his eyes immediately after that. It did not matter to him how the others were doing. All he asked for was that he could sit peacefully on the back of his double-horned, thunderous star beast and study without any disturbance. Although the Celestial Beast Alliance thieves had started a big conflict with Shuya escort team, they had not defeated the escort team. Their overall battle had not affected him the slightest, hence he naturally did not bother to be involved. The battle lasted for a very short time. The Shuya escort team did not suffer any loss save for a few slightly injured peak divine demons who were not in any sort of danger. Xiao Tiexin asked the other two escort team's divine demons to go toward her. The battle just now has caused injuries on a few of our brothers, and we have consumed quite a bit of divine powers. Let's find a place to rest and regroup. We'll resume our journey tomorrow. Chapter 25:12. Xiao Tiexin, the 18 prefectures, were definitely the overlords of Dark Thunder territory. They were deeply rooted in the territory, very powerful, and way above any of the other criminal enterprises. The Celestial Beast Alliance, for example, were definitely not weak in terms of their strength, with 4 ultimate god experts. However, they had never dreamed of comparing themselves with the 18 prefectures. The reason did not purely lie in strength, as it also had to do with the methods they had taken and the nature of their businesses. However strong the Celestial Beast Alliance was, they were just thieves after all. Although the 18 prefectures were also thieves, they could be equated to 18 powerful regional political powers to the others. Any one of the 18 prefectures was equipped with the means to control a region. Each of the 18 prefectures had its own very well-organized intelligence department. One of the 18 prefectures, Demonic Moon Prefecture. Inside a black garret. Third leader, we just received news of the Celestial Beast Alliance pouring all their manpower to rob an escort team, but lost big time. A black-robed man knelt down. Celestial Beast Alliance. At the foremost part of the garret, a slim old man in gray stood up with his face full of surprise. Celestial Beast Alliance is not weak. They have 4 ultimate gods among them. Even if they were robbing a Crimson-class escort team, they should be returning victoriously. How come they lost? According to our informants in Celestial Beast Alliance, they were really robbing a regular Crimson-class escort team which only has 3 ultimate gods and around 20 peak divine demons. However, their captain, Xiao Tiexin, is very skillful. She's an ultimate god, but so are the 2 Celestial Beast Alliance leaders, which she crushed by herself. The Celestial Beast Alliance had to retreat from desperation, said the black-robed man. The gray-robed old man was shocked. She fought against two ultimate gods at the same time, and was still able to defeat them. Doesn't that mean she's very close to possessing the battle prowess of a high-level ultimate god? Perhaps she's even won? Xiao Tiexin? I feel like I've heard of her name. While he spoke, the gray-robed old man began to shuffle through jade slips on the table before him. After a while, here it is. The gray-robed old man held up a jade slip with his eyes flickering with excitement. Xiao Tiexin, the eldest daughter of the Xiao clan, and its last survivor. So, it's her. Xiao clan. The black-robed man also immediately recalled an ancient clan that used to exist. Humph! This Xiao Tiexin has the guts to appear in Dark Thunder territory, and even became captain of a Crimson-class escort team. She is also very skillful. Looks like she's in the midst of training and gaining experiences to improve her abilities. Once ready, shall return and seek vengeance from that person. The gray-robed old man exclaimed. That person? The black-robed man shuddered and immediately recalled a person. That man was someone who the 18 prefectures would not even dare cross even if they joined forces. That man was basically a god in the northern Darkstar territory. Third leader. Xiao Tiexin wants to seek revenge from that person. Why don't we catch her and send it to the Lord? Would that make him happy? Suggested the black-robed man. The gray-robed old man waved his hand. No, Xiao Tiexin is nothing to the Lord. Otherwise, she would have been dead for a long time. How did you think she survived till now? Even if we presented her to the Lord may not even care, and perhaps wouldn't even care to see us. However, Xiao Tiexin is the eldest daughter of the Xiao clan, and their last survivor after all. She probably possesses some of Xiao clan's wealth. Xiao clan's wealth? Didn't all of it get taken by the Lord? Said the black-robed man in surprise. That's true, but Xiao clan is such a large ancient clan, and Xiao Tiexin is their eldest daughter after all. We won't know if she had taken some of it when she escaped. The gray-robed old man squinted and soon decided. You wait here, let me find elder brother. Dark Thunder territory was shrouded in freezing darkness during the night. In the forest, Shuya escort team and their clients were resting and regrouping. Jian Wushuang remained seated cross-legged on the back of the double-horned thunderous star beast while silently studying and cultivating by himself. The others were also sitting down and going about their own businesses. Some were recuperating their abilities, some were cultivating, and some were discussing the battle with the Celestial Beast Alliance that occurred earlier. In one corner, two peak divine demons of the Shuya escort team were sitting together and chatting casually. Our captain is really something. She could oppress two ultimate gods, all by herself. One of them, a young man in a white robe, exclaimed. That's true. Otherwise, how can she become our captain? You're a newbie on the team. Naturally, you haven't seen many such occurrences yet. When you've seen more, you'll know how powerful she truly is, said the other bald man proudly. Are you saying she hasn't unleashed her full strength in today's battle yet? The white-robed youngster was shocked. The bald man smiled awkwardly and said, Well, I want know. Our captain is not only skillful, her background is also pretty incredible. Background. The white-robed youngster was intrigued. The bald man looked around and quietly said after realizing nobody was paying attention to him, Ever heard of the Xiao clan? Xiao clan? Are you talking about one of the top clans in the northern Darkstar continent? The captain is one of them, the white-robed youngster exclaimed. Hee, now you know. The bald man smiled mysteriously before sighing a little and said, The captain is the Xiao clan's eldest daughter and has lived in a very sophisticated environment since young. It's a shame the Shao clan fell into turmoil not long ago with their whole clan being annihilated. She's the only one from the Shao clan who escaped. The Shao clan is such a powerful family, and yet they had been destroyed. Who in the northern Dark Star territory would have such capabilities to annihilate them? Don't tell me it's the white-robed youngster thought of someone. Yes, that's the one. The most superior one in the northern Dark Star territory. The territorial lord, said the bald man. Why did he destroy the Shao clan, though? Asked the white-robed youngster. Well, I did hear our two deputy captains mention it before, that the Shao clan had obtained an extremely rare treasure by chance not long ago. Word got out by accident, and the territorial lord caught wind about it. After that, destruction befalls the Shao clan, said the bald man. Treasure? It's just one treasure. Why would it garner the territorial lord's personal efforts in destroying such a large ancient clan? What's that treasure? The white-robed youngster only got more curious. I hear it's a painted scroll. I think its name is the stately painting, answered the bald man. The stately painting? The white-robed youngster had a blanket look on his face, as he had obviously never heard of it. What are you two chatting about? Someone suddenly scolded. It was one of the ultimate god's deputy captains who walked toward them. The two were startled and immediately shut their mouths without speaking another word. The deputy captain harumphed coldly and left. However, nobody noticed over the course of discussion between the bald man and white-robed youngster. Jian Wushuang had already opened his eyes while sitting on top of his double-horned, thunderous star beast. Furthermore, an unprecedented sharp glint was shining through his eyes. His body slightly trembled with excitement. The stately painting. Chapter 25:13. The demonic moon prefecture. Previously, there were no changes in Jian Wushuang's expressions at all, even when the Celestial Beast Alliance attacked in close proximity. However, just the mention of that treasure by those two experts of the Shuya escort team had shaken Jian Wushuang. The stately painting. Jian Wushuang mumbled in the corner of his mouth. In his past life, Jian Wushuang possessed two extremely valuable treasures in the eternal chaotic realm. Both treasures were given by his master, Xian Yi. One of them was Blood Mountain Sword, his default weapon, which was upgraded alongside his own abilities. The second treasure was the stately painting. It was his secret weapon, his trump card, and also one of the 7-star Black Sect's most precious articles. After Xian Yi sent his soul into the reincarnation passage, he also sent the Blood Mountain Sword and the stately painting as well. The Blood Mountain Sword fell from the sky during his birth and was still in his possessions. However, the stately painting was lost. Jian Wushuang guessed the stately painting had probably fallen into the ancient god realm as well on the same day he was born, but its exact location was unknown. However, Jian Wushuang heard the name of the treasure mentioned once more in the Dark Thunder territory through Shuya escort team members' conversation. According to their conversation, the stately painting was only recently discovered by the Shao clan, which only led to their clan's destruction by the territorial lord's personal actions. Obviously, the stately painting is so extraordinary it stirred such madness in the territorial lord to annihilate an entire clan, but that doesn't mean this stately painting is the treasure, which I've lost. Although Jian Wushuang was incredibly excited, he did not lose his rationality. There were many people in the world who shared similar names, so it would not be surprising if there were treasures that shared the same name as well. For example, it was entirely possible another painting scroll, which was also a special treasure bearing the name, the stately painting. Regardless, it did not matter, as Jian Wushuang would not ignore it the moment he heard the name stately painting. The Shao clan may be annihilated by the territorial lord because of the stately painting, but I wonder if the painting is currently in his hands. Jian Wushuang squinted before moving his eyesight toward the purple-armored woman who was sitting cross-legged on the ground. This woman, the Shao clan's eldest daughter, must know everything about how her clan obtained the stately painting. Nothing else happened for the rest of the night. On the next day, everyone in Shuya escort team had freshened up and resumed their journey. They soon stood before a huge mountain. The group stopped there for a short while. "Captain, what we see ahead of us is the demonic Moon Mountains according to our map. One of the Dark Thunder Territory's 18 prefectures has nested inside the mountains. However, the 18 prefectures are infamous in the Dark Thunder Territory. If there isn't something valuable enough, they wouldn't easily take action." One of Shuya escort team's deputy captains, Ultimate Gods, reported. Although the 18 prefectures were also thieves, they had risen to the level of political powers. They had taken over the Dark Thunder Territory and regarded themselves as kings and overlords of the area. They still did indeed rob passers-by, escort teams, caravans, and experts. However, they would usually run a thorough background check on the other party to understand their abilities and potential gains before making a move. The 18 prefectures would not take action altogether if there were not much to obtain. The Shuya escort team was merely a regular Crimson-class escort team, while the 50 cultivators they were escorting had only very normal backgrounds. The only person slightly more unique was Jian Wushuang, who was riding on a double-horned thunderous star beast, but that was really a tiny benefit. Perhaps the demonic Moon Prefecture did not think too much of it. Even so, we still need to be careful. We should avoid troubles even if it's just some regular thieves. This is the base of the demonic Moon Prefecture, after all, with a lot of thieves around. We're only passers-by, hence let's not get into any more trouble and finish crossing through this place within 2 days, said Shao Tiexin. The rest would be smooth sailing once we pass through Dark Thunder Territory's central region, the demonic Moon Prefecture. The deputy captain agreed. Let's go then. Everyone entered the demonic Moon Mountains very soon following an order from Shao Tiexin. They moved at a moderate pace. After an hour, Jian Wushuang, who had been riding cross-legged on the double-horned thunderous star beast, suddenly opened his eyes. He scanned the surrounding voids once and shook his head. Looks like crossing the demonic Moon Mountains wouldn't be an easy job. He muttered to himself before closing his eyes. All was calm and uneventful within the first 6 hours after entering the demonic Moon Mountains. However, Shao Tiexin, who was walking in front of the group, suddenly paused. "What's the matter, Captain?" The 2 deputy captains immediately looked at her. Shao Tiexin looked serious. "Something isn't right. Our journey is too calm and smooth. The demonic Moon Mountains is the demonic Moon Prefecture's base. There are usually innumerable criminal activities going on here. However, we have been here for 6 hours now and still didn't see even a single thief. Not only did we not run into any, but there hasn't even been a single person spying on us from our surroundings. I didn't even sense a single beam of soul power. That's absolutely impossible." Although Shao Tiexin was quite young, her years of adventures had trained her to be mature and methodical. She would definitely not be that naive to assume the situation was a coincidence. "Captain, are you saying the demonic Moon Prefecture has noticed us?" One of the deputy captains could not help but ask. "That's very possible." Shao Tiexin nodded solemnly. "Then what do we do?" The deputy captain continued his inquiry. "Don't panic, stay calm." "Well, turn around and go back the same way." "Well, think of another way to cross Dark Thunder Territory's central region once we are out of the mountains," said Shao Tiexin. The 2 deputy captains solemnly nodded and immediately began sending messages to the remaining escort team members. However, something suddenly happened before they could turn around. A few waves of powerful aura suddenly swept across the void in various directions as a huge curtain of light gray-colored energy began spreading in an instant after that. The Shueya escort team and their current void location were soon completely shrouded by it. Is this restrictive shield? Besiegement restrictive shield. Xiao Chexin began to worry. The peak divine demons in Shueya escort team and those 50 cultivators being escorted were also visibly shocked. Chapter 25:14. Reality, it's the demonic moon prefecture. It must be them. God damn it! Why did they lock onto us in the first place? Many cultivators in the Shueya escort team began to cry in disbelief. They knew the demonic moon prefecture had made a move when they noticed the restrictive shield surging around them. Only the demonic moon prefecture had the capabilities to decorate those mountains with such powerful restrictive shields. Furthermore, one could clearly differentiate between a normal group of thieves and the 18 prefectures by merely observing their restrictive shield. For example, the Celestial Beast Alliance, who attacked the Shueya escort team a while ago, would pour all the manpower and attack as a whole group the moment they started with no strategy whatsoever. However, when the demonic moon prefecture used restrictive shield formation to seal up the surrounding space-time before attacking just to ensure no one from the escort team could run away. This was the evidence of demonic moon prefecture's foundation and absolute strength. Few, 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 few. 7 figures charged over at the same time from the void ahead. They were so fast, appearing before the Shueya escort team in no time. Although there were only the 7 of them, everyone's face in the escort team turned shockingly pale. The 7 figures stood side by side in a straight line with their overpowering aura swept out. That was a total of 7 ultimate god experts. In addition, the red-robed, bald, old man standing in the middle of those 7 was probably their leader and projected an aura which surpassed a low-level ultimate gods. He was an actual high-level ultimate god. If a fight were to break out against such a lineup consisting of 6 low-level ultimate gods and a high-level ultimate god, hopelessness, the members of the Shueya escort team almost completely lost hope. Even Xiao Chexin was secretly gritting her teeth while looking at the red-robed old man. She asked with a deep voice, "I assume you are the governor of the demonic moon prefecture?" "That's me." The old man nodded a little. "We wonder if the Shueya escort team has offended demonic moon prefecture in any way such that you are carrying out such drastic measures." Xiao Chexin asked, "Your escort team did not offend us in any way. The reason we came to you was because of one person, you." The red-robed old man pointed straight at Xiao Chexin. "Me." Xiao Chexin was surprised. "The captain of Shueya escort team, Xiao Chexin. We know you're the Xiao clan's eldest daughter, and also the only survivor from the Xiao clan massacre. We've come here just for you," said the red-robed old man with a resonant voice. There was a huge stir among the clients of Shueya escort team as soon as he made this statement. The demonic moon prefecture is here for the escort team's captain? That's what ID thought. All of us have pretty regular backgrounds. How would they target us with such theatrics? The person they want is the escort team's captain, of course. If ID known this before, I won't be so stupid to spend such an amount of money to hire their team to escort me. This Shueya escort team has been hired to protect us, but became the reason we got into trouble. What the hell? A number of the cultivators who were still glad they were being protected by the Shueya escort team started to blame the escort team instead. Not only they were blaming, they even felt a deep hatred and began cursing them. They were all blaming the Shueya escort team for getting them in trouble. All of that was clear in the red-robed old man's eyes as he mysteriously smiled. "Looks like you're all panicking." "Huh? Actually, there's no need. We are only here for Xiao Chexin. As for the rest of you, you're not our target. I've already ordered my people to leave a few gaps on the restrictive shield. There's still time if you want to leave right now. We can go." The cultivator's expression changed, with some of them downright joyful, but not without a slight worry. However, the red-robed old man coldly continued, "If you want to go, you better do it soon. The gaps will completely seal up within 10 breaths. Anyone who stays in this restrictive shield formation, except for those from the demonic moon prefecture, will die by then." The cultivators, who were previously protected by the Shuya escort team, let go of all their hesitations upon hearing that. "Quick, run. 10 breaths is enough for us to escape from the restrictive shield, although we won't be protected by the Shuya escort team anymore, and the rest of the journey would be extremely dangerous. It's still better than dying here." This is clearly the Shuya escort team's fault. Why would I die with them here? They began to shout. The escorted cultivators began running toward the restrictive shield's edge from all directions. There were even a few peaked divine demons who just joined the Shuya escort team escaped without any hesitation, since they had neither feelings nor emotional connections with the team, and Xiao Tiexin, the remaining escort team members who chose to stay, saw that and gritted their teeth in agitation. "You maggots! All of you stop! Stop right now! A bunch of bastards! Idiots!" The two deputy captains were also shouting angrily. "Number 2 and number 3, leave them alone. Just let them run if they feel like it." Xiao Tiexin's demeanor appeared to be very calm. Aloof would be more accurate. She had experienced such a scene before. Countless clans and sects bowed at them when the Xiao clan was at its peak and seriously took every word they said. However, all the clans and sects immediately disappeared without a trace when the Xiao clan experienced destruction from the territorial lord's personal attacks. None of them was willing to offer even a wee bit of help. That was reality. Cruel reality. Xiao Tiexin had a clear view of reality and did not feel surprised by the action of those people. Humph! They really believed the demonic moon prefecture's governor would let them live within 10 breaths? Naive! Xiao Tiexin thought sarcastically. The Dark Thunder Territory's 18 prefectures were infamous. The reason for their infamy was built on nothing but endless killings, which caused the shrouding crimson fog. It was true the 18 prefectures did not easily attack, but when they did, everyone within their sight would be killed without showing the least bit of mercy. It was nice to hear the red-robed old man's words, which promised to let them live. However, perhaps he did not feel like wasting so much energy and was reluctant to suffer any additional loss on the demonic moon prefecture's side. If her predictions were correct, those who scattered and ran out of those gaps would probably be killed immediately and mercilessly right after they left. In the end, perhaps not many would survive. Of course, Xiao Tiexin knew that, but had no desire to waste her words on those fleeing from battle. Chapter 25:15. Xiao clan survivor. Only in a short moment, the 50 cultivators who were previously escorted by the Shuya escort team had completely cleared the place. No, it was more accurate to mention that one of those cultivators actually stayed. That person was none other than Jian Wushuang. Oh, there's actually one who stays behind. The red-robed old man, who was the demonic moon prefecture governor, was intrigued. Xiao Tiexin and the rest of the Shuya escort team experts who stayed back also looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Everyone else had left except for this man. Noticing everybody's glare, the cross-legged Jian Wushuang on the back of the double-horned thunderous star beast smiled awkwardly and said, "Sorry, I truly wish to run, but my beast isn't listening to my commands. It has become frozen from fear." Everybody immediately looked at the double-horned thunderous star beast. It was true that the beast was shuddering and did not dare to move a muscle. While beasts were fundamentally cowardly, they would not be able to move as long as they felt the auras from strong divine demons, let alone being in front of so many ultimate gods. What an idiot! He's on the brink of death, and still won't let go of a wild beast? The ultimate gods from the demonic moon prefecture began to scoff, and nobody paid Jian Wushuang any more attention. Eldest Miss Xiao. The Xiao clan was one of the top clans in the northern Darkstar continent. We hear there were even a few peak ultimate gods, not to mention your foundations were extremely strong. Although the clan has been annihilated, perhaps you still possess some family wealth that you brought with you as the sole survivor of the clan? The governor stared at Xiao Tiexin with full of anticipation. Xiao Tiexin stared at the demonic moon prefecture governor and scoffed. Mr. Governor, it looks like you're here for my family's wealth. As one of the 18 prefectures, you probably have a pretty well-organized intelligence department. Yes? Didn't your agents find out the territorial lord has robbed us completely of the clan's wealth? Yes, our intelligence did state so. However, you escaped from the Xiao clan after all. You should have brought with you some resources and treasures when you ran. The Xiao clan was so large that even a tiny part brought out, say 10 or even 5%, will still amount to huge wealth, said the governor. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you, Mr. Governor. I did bring a portion of wealth with me when I left, but that was only the interspatial ring which my mother passed to me. My mother's accumulated wealth only amounted to 6,000 pieces of primordial stones. If you want it, you can have it. Why did you even utilize such a dramatic tactic? As Xiao Tiexin spoke, she flipped her wrist and presented an interspatial ring. Lying quietly in the ring were 6,000 pieces of primordial stones. 6,000 primordial stones. The demonic moon prefecture's ultimate gods were happy to hear that. According to market value, one piece of primordial stone was equivalent to 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power. 6,000 primordial stones meant 60 million drops of ancient god divine power. It was a great amount of wealth for any high-level ultimate god, let alone a low-level ultimate god. Even the demonic moon prefecture, who accumulated an enormous amount of wealth through the ages, could still not ignore 6,000 primordial stones. For those ultimate gods, it was worth their time if they could obtain it. However, the demonic moon prefecture governor did not look too happy. 6,000 pieces of primordial stones were a lot, but was still a lot less than what he expected. The governor raised his head and said coldly, Xiao Tiexin, don't think you can get away with just giving me 6,000 primordial stones. Perhaps what you carried with you is truly 6,000. However, your clan elders probably didn't just give you primordial stones when you escaped. There are probably treasures which mean a lot to the Xiao clan, some secret techniques, and whatnot. All those are highly valuable stuff, a lot more valuable than the 6,000 pieces of primordial stones. Surrender all of it. Xiao Tiexin's heart sank. She did bring some exceptional items when she left, but those items were her growth capital. And some were even for the Xiao clan's revival, unlike the primordial stones. The primordial stones were only a considerable wealth, and as long as she became powerful, they were easy to obtain. However, the rest of the items with her had their clan taken ages to accumulate. She absolutely could not give up those things. Just 6,000 primordial stones. I don't have anything else. If you promise to let us leave, I shall respectfully present them to you. Otherwise, we'll have to fight it out, responded Xiao Tiexin frostily. Fight it out? Eldest Miss Xiao, perhaps you look too highly upon yourself since you don't wish to give up the Xiao clan's treasure. All I can do is to kill you before checking your interspatial ring myself. The governor sneered as his eyes turned icy cold. Do it. Boom! The 6 ultimate gods next to the governor immediately sprung into action. 2 giant waves of ultimate god auras began pressing against each other and shocking everyone in the Shuya escort team. Number 2, number 3, be careful. Find your chance to escape. Xiao Tiexin instructed quietly and dashed forward in a sudden burst. Purple lights surged from her body as she dashed forward while dragging out a trace of purple shadow. The purple shadow was actually in the form of a purple demon deity. Xiao Tiexin's aura suddenly surged a great amount when the demon deity appeared. The bewitching purple sickle also appeared in her hand without needing to mention it. Charge! Xiao Tiexin's killing intention rose sky-high as she swung the purple sickle with one hand. Whoosh! 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 3 bewitching beams of purple blade light immediately swept outward. The purple blade lights were incredibly fast and instantly blocked 3 ultimate gods of the demonic moon prefecture. The 3 ultimate gods also immediately reacted. Unexpectedly, Xiao Tiexin's movements were also extremely mysterious and unpredictable. She flashed and swayed along with her inconsistently flashing blade lights produced by her purple sickle. It was extremely unpredictable and incredibly powerful. The 3 ultimate gods joined forces, but could not gain any advantage over Xiao Tiexin. They gradually and eventually fell into a disadvantage. Goodness, this woman is really something. All 3 of them were shocked in their minds. At that very moment, the governor, who was behind the whole time, stepped forward. "Ha ha! Eldest Miss Xiao, let me experience your skills." The governor laughed heartily, and a bright red stone staff appeared in his hands. The battle strength of a high-level ultimate god blasted outward. Boom! A staff shadow appeared out of the blue in the void above and began hitting down at Xiao Tiexin like huge waves. The staff shadow was heaven-defying as it sealed up the void around Xiao Tiexin the moment it appeared, and not giving her a chance to dodge. She could only swing her purple sickle to fend those attacks off by force. Chapter 25:16. Making a deal, a terrifying momentum swept over with a huge bang as Xiao Tiexin lowered her body while feeling a little stunned. The governor of Demonic Moon Prefecture took another step forward before turning the stone staff in his hand into a thunderbolt and lashed out. The purple light gushed out of Xiao Tiexin's body as her bewitching purple sickle drew an arch before she dashed forward. Twang! After another collision, her purple sickle's momentum was knocked away from its original direction, causing both her hands to suddenly feel numb while the insides of her body were throbbing. "Haha, go to hell." The governor laughed as he sent his stone staff forward, which penetrated a hole in the void before continuing to pierce toward Xiao Tiexin. No! Xiao Tiexin panicked. She still felt numbness in her hand and was not able to defend against the incoming attack. In the nick of time, a strange flash of light shone before her eyes. Whoosh! 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 3 light beams appeared out of the blue at the void. She was in, and Xiao Tiexin retreated to the one side of the void with a flash. She dodged the staff attack, but its momentum had not vanished. On the contrary, it turned into a bright red light beam, which continued on with its attack. Coincidentally, Jian Wushuang was located not far behind Xiao Tiexin. She may have avoided that attack, but not Jian Wushuang. Xiao Tiexin was shocked, but could not do anything. In such situations, she could not even guarantee her own safety, let alone the safety of Jian Wushuang. Boom! Violent energies burst outwards from the void, where Jian Wushuang was. The void fell into a humongous storm of energy, with nobody being able to see what had happened inside it. A secret technique. The governor looked at Xiao Tiexin with his face blooming in a grin. "So it's true that you did not only bring 6,000 pieces of primordial stones from the Xiao clan, The secret technique, which you used to dodge my attack, is probably a lot more valuable than the 6,000 primordial stones. Xiao Qiexin looked at him coldly without uttering a word. Eldest Miss Xiao, I have a suggestion. Why don't you come to Demonic Moon Prefecture and become my wife and teach me all the secret techniques you know in one go? What do you say? The governor sneered. However, as soon as he finished speaking, phew, that was close. My double-horned, thunderous star beast, which costs 10,000 drops of ancient god divine power, almost died. A light voice suddenly spoke from afar. On the battlefield, the experts from both the Demonic Moon Prefecture and Shuya escort team were caught by surprise. All their eyes immediately moved over to the side void and looked at the energy storm. The governor and Xiao Qiexin both looked over as well. The energy storm began to gradually die down and unveiled its insides. They saw a 3-meter-tall, double-horned, thunderous star beast standing trembling there. On its back was a golden-robed man, sitting cross-legged, and carrying a long sword behind. It was clear the governor's staff energy had exploded in that part of the void, but how did both the beast and golden-robed man escape unscattered under such immense energies? He's actually still alive. Xiao Qiexin and her men were shocked. That powerful staff strike required Xiao Qiexin to dodge with a secret technique. Otherwise, a low-level ultimate god could only greet death when facing it head-on. However, not only did the golden-robed man before their eyes survived, so did his double-horned, thunderous star beast. Jian Wushuang looked at the beast he was riding on under everyone's stare and said, "Little Ray, don't be scared. Come, let's get over there." Little Ray was a pet named Jian Wushuang, gave to his double-horned, thunderous star beast. However, Little Ray did not even move a hair, no matter how much motivation he directed toward the beast. It was already frightened to near death. Jian Wushuang could do nothing but got down from its back and walked on his own. The governor closely stared at Jian Wushuang and slowly squinted his eyes at the same time. Looks like our intelligence has made some mistakes. There's an expert among those being escorted. Previously, he did not notice Jian Wushuang at all, but now, as Jian Wushuang slowly closed in, he realized he could not see through Jian Wushuang's true abilities and cultivation level, which started to make him slightly alarmed. He was a high-level ultimate god, after all. If an ultimate god could not see through his opponent, it was either an opponent at the same cultivation level or a low-level ultimate god good at hiding his aura. He was most probably an expert, regardless which was true. Otherwise, it would not be possible for him to safely survive his staff strike. Jian Wushuang finally arrived at the battlefield center and stood next to Xiao Qiexin. Xiao Qiexin and her men were a little surprised. Jian Wushuang was a client who hired their escort team to protect himself and had been traveling with them for more than 4 months. Although Jian Wushuang's aura felt a little strange to them, with nobody able to see through him, they had never taken note of him, let alone suspected that he was a hidden expert. The reason for their point of view was that would it not be pointless for him to hire them for protection if he was that powerful? Why would he need to pay them escorting fees? Any escort team would love to have an expert at the level of ultimate god or above among them. However, to be able to survive the staff strike and remain unscathed probably meant the golden-robed man's abilities were quite high. Xiao Qiexin, oh great Captain Xiao. Jian Wushuang smiled mysteriously at Xiao Qiexin next to him. What if we make a deal? Xiao Qiexin was surprised. A deal? What kind of a deal? It's very simple. It'll get rid of these people from Demonic Moon Prefecture. But you'll have to be honest with me when I ask you a question later, said Jian Wushuang. Sure. Xiao Qiexin agreed without hesitation. If it was only one question, it should not be anything serious, at the very least, not comparable with everyone's lives. However, the bigger question was whether this unknown man who traveled with them would really be able to get rid of the demonic Moon Prefecture's people. The Shueya escort team, including Xiao Tiexin herself, felt slightly doubtful. However, Jian Wushuang did not care much and turned his gaze toward those people from Demonic Moon Prefecture. Demonic Moon Prefecture, yes? Do you want to leave on your own, or do you want me to kick you home? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly with his absolutely confident tone. They could not tell what Jian Wushuang was up to, hence nobody dared to move. They looked at the governor instead. The governor's face turned a little gloomy before saying, "Sir, perhaps you're being too arrogant if you think you could convince us to leave with just a few words." "Well, there's no other way but to fight in that case." Jian Wushuang smiled while his divine powers began to surge. His aura was naturally in full display as soon as he activated his divine powers. Everyone on the battlefield was instantly shocked. Chapter 25:17, 11 Apparitions. Divine Demon Realm? Peak Divine Demon? He's only a peak Divine Demon? Is this a joke? Experts from both sides could not make peace with what they saw. Some even felt incredibly angry. How did the golden-robed man before them have such self-confidence? He had the gall to strike a deal with Xiao Tiexin and announced that he would get rid of the demonic Moon Prefecture people, and even asked them to leave under their own initiative. Most importantly, both the Shueya escort team members and the ultimate gods from the demonic Moon Prefecture almost believed him. It was because they could not see through his abilities. The Shueya escort team naturally found a beacon of hope from seeing how confident Jian Wushuang was, adding to the fact he survived the governor's staff strike unscathed. As for the demonic Moon Prefecture's ultimate gods, which included their governor, they were made alert and worried that the golden-robed man before them was really a hidden expert. However, he had finally put his cultivation level on full display. In the end, he was only a peak divine demon. Peak divine demon was truly considered experts in most regular wildernesses. However, in dark thunder territory, especially in this particular situation under the presence of 7 ultimate gods from the demonic Moon Prefecture, even a low-level ultimate god could not make any difference, let alone a peak divine demon. Was this some kind of a joke? This kid is playing with us. Flames of fury were burning in the eyes of the demonic Moon Prefecture's ultimate gods. They really almost got stunned by that peak divine demon. However, they did not know Jian Wushuang's peak divine demon aura was due to the black stone, which raised his aura by 2 levels higher than its actual. Jian Wushuang's real divine power aura and cultivation level were in fact that of a second-class divine demon. Angry eyes gazed over one by one, but Jian Wushuang did not care at all. Behind him, his enormous divine powers were still surging and formed a 3,000-meter-tall god shadow in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the 7-star secret technique was being unleashed in his body. "Captain Xiao, remember what you just promised me." Jian Wushuang smiled mysteriously. Xiao Tiexin was even more shocked at that point. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang moved. Nothing happened when he stood still, but as soon as he did, many figures started bursting out one after another. A total of 12 figures covered half of the void. Everyone around was dumbfounded. Those are apparitions, space-time apparitions. There are 12 figures in total, but one of them shouldn't be a space-time apparition. This means there are 11 apparitions in total. 11 apparitions? Impossible. The demonic Moon Prefecture's ultimate gods were in complete shock. Space-time apparitions were only achievable after one had made a breakthrough to the first stage of space-time law understanding. The more apparitions one could form meant the higher one's understanding of the law. In normal circumstances, high-level ultimate gods who were studying the space-time law could perhaps form 3 to 4 apparitions at most. However, forming 11 at the same time, it was extremely rare among the high-level ultimate gods. Normally, only peak ultimate gods, who focused on studying space-time, law could form more than 10 apparitions. This man before them, however, so what if you have a slightly deeper understanding of the space-time law? You're still nothing but a mere peak divine demon. The governor scoffed in disdain and refused to take him seriously. However, Jian Wushuang had moved his physical body before the governor after concurrently forming 11 apparitions and unsheathed his blood mountain sword. Ring! A gigantic sword light appeared out of nowhere. The sword light was incredibly attractive and bright as though it could connect heaven and earth together. The moment it appeared, it became the focal center of heaven and earth. It even became an eternity. Space-time sword technique. Heaven and earth aligned. How's that possible? The governor, who was paying no mind to Jian Wushuang, was suddenly shocked beyond words when he saw that gigantic sword light sweeping at him. How can this be a sword technique performed by a divine demon realm cultivator? No way! The governor roared. The sword light was so sufficiently strong that it stunned regular ultimate gods. At the same time, he felt immense dangers from that sword light. He had only experienced such feelings from high-level ultimate gods, very powerful high-level ultimate gods. The governor did not dare remain arrogant anymore, as he instantly turned the bright red stone staff in his hand into a thunderbolt and swung viciously toward the sword light. With a huge bang, the seemingly ever-expanding sword light spread toward every direction. The governor's pupils dilated as he felt a huge momentum being directed towards him, knocking his body and sent him faltering backward. However, a ghastly figure already got close to him before he could steady himself. Infinite sword essences swept around and shrouded him. The governor instantly fell into an infinite ocean of sword essence, while Jian Wushuang's blood mountain sword finally erupted with great powers. One after another, the sword lights swept toward the governor like a tsunami. Too fast. The sword lights were way too unbelievably fast. The bewitching blade light was also very fast when Xiao Tiexin swung her purple sickle, but it was still behind Jian Wushuang's speed by 2 folds. Jian Wushuang had repeatedly flickered among those apparitions of his. He was able to do so due to his tremendous space-time law understanding in both the aspects of sword techniques and movement methodologies. As such, it was impossible for the governor to realize Jian Wushuang's mysterious appearance beside himself. All he could do was to swing his stone staff like a madman and tried insanely hard to fend off Jian Wushuang's attacks. However, even with such defenses, Jian Wushuang's pressure was so huge that he was completely being suppressed to the point of gradually losing. "You divine demon maggot, scram!" The governor released an explosive shout as his bright red stone staff suddenly began to grow in size, with terrifying divine powers began concentrating in his hand. The bright red stone staff resembled a bright red volcano suddenly falling at Jian Wushuang before completely erupted. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned frosty as his sword essence began to sweep around and immediately turned his blood mountain sword into a long snake. With a tearing sound, layers of the void were torn open like pieces of paper as everything was dissolved by the sword stroke. It was soundless and motionless without a single trace. The only exception was a sword shadow that swept past. Space-time sword technique. Third form, pure shadow. The violently erupting bright red volcano was also being torn open as a large amount of vicious divine powers was dispersed into its surroundings. The remaining sword light still had quite a bit of momentum and continued sweeping toward the governor. Thud! The governor got swept by the sword light, which immediately caused his body to be severely injured. His aura began to weaken after spitting out a big gulp of blood. A huge amount of his divine powers began to gradually decrease. However, the golden-robed man, who was holding a long sword, continued to issue attacks at him, which were capable of tearing open everything in the void. Chapter 25:18. Defeated, don't let him go. Quick, block his path. The demonic Moon Prefecture governor let out a stern shout with his booming, hysterical voice. Several ultimate gods around the governor of demonic Moon Prefecture were still in shock. Nonetheless, the three ultimate gods closest to their target immediately reacted upon hearing the distraught shouting. Let's take him down together. The three ultimate gods placed themselves in front of Jian Wushuang, blocking his path, and were just about to launch an attack. Those three ultimate gods had trouble telling which one was the real Jian Wushuang when 11 apparitions appeared out of thin air at the same time. 3 sword lights lit up and sliced through those three ultimate gods' necks when they were still caught in a limbo. Their eyes widened in horror from being surprised by the sword's speed of that divine demon, and could not even react before their heads flew off. In a span of mere seconds, their consciousness was gone. Are you really primary-level ultimate gods? TCH. Jian Wushuang's lips curled slightly. The differences between primary-level ultimate gods and the high-level ultimate gods were huge, but strenuous efforts were required in order for a high-level ultimate god to kill a primary-level ultimate god. Normally, 3 primary-level ultimate gods together could even engage in a riveting head-on fight against a high-level ultimate god. Unfortunately, their opponent was none other than the unfathomable Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang possessed the combat prowess of a high-level ultimate god. In addition, his speed was extremely fast, and he had his space-time law, a deep understanding of space-time law to be exact. The 3 ultimate gods had no time to react with his 11 apparition disguises and his sword moving at warped speeds. They did not even have the opportunity to unleash an attack before all of them died to his sword. Run! Run! The governor dared not stay any longer, made a swift turnaround, and fled for his life from the untenable situation. Of course, the remaining 3 ultimate gods also fled without hesitation. In a blink of an eye, those 4 had vanished from Jian Wushuang's sight, along with the heavy restrictive shield which enshrouded the area soon dissipated. Jian Wushuang watched the 4 escape, but made no efforts to chase after them. It was easy for him to kill a primary-level ultimate god, but considerably arduous to kill a high-level one. Although the governor is a high-level ultimate god, he probably hasn't been at that level for long, and only has a rudimentary understanding of space-time law. His strength is probably at rock bottom among the high-level ultimate gods. I only used the 7 stars secret technique and divine god of punishment technique, yet I could easily defeat him with only space-time law, murmured Jian Wushuang. He knew his current strength barely reached the combat prowess of a high-level ultimate god level, as when he fought with Yunzhen against strange old Feng in the Wuxia wilderness. After his strength skyrocketed, he obtained his life armor, cultivated the 9 sparkle star armor secret technique, and reached the golden armor chapter. He was then sufficiently capable to oppress Yunzhen. In the battle against the demonic Moon Prefecture governor, he neither used 9 sparkle star armor nor divine god of punishment, but could still easily defeat the governor. The only explicable reason would have been the governor's strength was too weak and ranked at the bottom even among high-level ultimate gods. Secondly, Jian Wushuang's understanding of the laws had improved greatly. It had been 7 or 8 months since he departed from Wuxia wilderness. During that time, Jian Wushuang had been sitting on the double-horned, thunderous star beast and worked on his cultivation. Besides that, he did not only rely solely on his own ability, but on Fengtian Scroll's support. Although the Fengtian Scroll was not as helpful when he was in Saint's Tomb, it was still beneficial to Jian Wushuang. In just 7 to 8 months, his understanding of space-time law had improved so much that he went from just having 2 apparitions to 11 apparitions. Was that not impressive? His sword skills had also improved tremendously. The governor is too weak. If it's someone slightly stronger, I'm afraid I will only be able to win by executing Divine God of Punishment or 9 Sparkle Stars armor. Jian Wushuang sighed. However, he had not realized those members from Shuya escort behind him were completely stunned. Yes, they were stunned to see what happened. They were furious when they saw Jian Wushuang merely showing divine powers at the level of a peak divine demon realm. They thought Jian Wushuang was just fooling around with them. However, the very same peak divine demon had defeated those demonic moon prefecture experts right before their eyes. And he did not simply drive them away, but managed to intimidate them, and even killed 3 of their ultimate gods. How terrifying he must be to have done that. He must be a genius. One of Shuya escort's deputy captains exclaimed, I once heard there were pools of talents in the ancient god domain, and many of them were monsters. They had the combat prowess of an ultimate god when they were merely in the divine demon realm. Some of them were capable of killing an ultimate god. I thought that was just hearsay, but I saw it with my own eyes today. It's simply amazing he could defeat high-level ultimate god head-on, and even beheaded 3 primary-level ultimate gods, while being at the divine demon realm. The others were also shocked. Even though they were terribly shocked, they were still able to accept what just happened. There were peak divine demons in ancient god domain who could kill primary-level ultimate gods, after all. They were just lucky to have met one. However, they would be even more shocked to realize that Jian Wushuang was merely a second-class divine demon, where he not had that black stone disguising his actual cultivation level. It was impossible for a second-class divine demon to kill a primary-level ultimate god. Xiao Tiexin took a deep breath, calmed his nerves, and stepped forward with a hint of respect. Thank you for your actions. You've just helped the Shuya escort team to resolve a crisis. Thank you for what you have done, Master, said the other members of the Shuya escort team. Faced with someone who killed a primary-level ultimate god at peak divine demon, the Shuya escort team was respectful toward Jian Wushuang. Tiexin was almost at the strength of a high-level ultimate god, yet she had addressed Jian Wushuang politely, whereas everyone else, including the 2 ultimate god deputy captains, had to call Jian Wushuang as master. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and said, There's no need for that. Captain Xiao, just don't forget the deal between us. Of course I won't. I don't know what you're looking for, but I'll tell you everything I know, said Xiao Tiexin. Jian Wushuang did not speak. Instead, he looked at the others from Shuya escort team. Xiao Tiexin understood and immediately ordered, Number 2 and Number 3, go around and see if all those people from Demonic Moon Prefecture have escaped. Check if any of those people whom we are supposed to escort had survived. If anyone survives, bring them back to where we are. Yes. The 2 deputy captains nodded and immediately brought someone to search the nearby area. Their departure gave Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin some space to speak privately. Chapter 2519, Precious Treasure, Captain Xiao addressed Jian Wushuang. Your Excellency, please don't call me Captain Xiao. You can just call me Tiexin. Oh yes, I didn't get your name, said Xiao Tiexin. My name's Jian. Jian Wushuang introduced his pseudonym. Mr. Jian, what do you want to ask? Xiao Tiexin asked. I want to know what happened to that treasure Xiao clan had, said Jian Wushuang in a deep voice. That treasure. Xiao Tiexin pondered for a moment before saying, In fact, that incident is no secret. I can tell you everything you want to know about it. Jian Wushuang nodded and was keen to hear about it. Our clan got that treasure not long ago. It is only a little more than 20 years ago. At that time, an ultimate god elder from our clan was engaged in a duel. Out of a sudden, the void around him shattered, and a treasure flitted from the void, which the elder then caught, explained Xiao Qiexin. Around 20 years ago, did you say it flitted from a broken void? Jian Wushuang's heart quivered. It had only been a little more than 20 years since he was reborn in his current life. The timing seemed to coincide, exactly as his Blood Mountain sword was also a treasure descended from the heavens. That treasure is a picture scroll. After the elder got the picture scroll, he immediately took it back to the Shao clan's residence and studied it with other Shao clan's elders. Unfortunately, the picture scroll is very mysterious, and weird that those elders failed miserably to open it up after exhausting every idea they had, hence they had no way to claim and meditate upon it. However, during their many attempts, one of the clan elders discovered the picture scroll's name was the stately painting. Xiao Qiexin said. Jian Wushuang remained calm. It was no surprise that Shao clan's experts were unable to cultivate using the picture scroll. How could any ordinary individual claim ownership over such a precious treasure, especially when it's indeed the stately painting? It was a treasure that belonged to the Seven Stars Black Sect, after all. One would naturally be unable to unseal the picture scroll without first gaining ownership over it. Tixin, what else do you know besides the picture scroll's name? Jian Wushuang asked. There is another message which I vividly remembered. Xiao Qiexin paused before reciting the stately painting, the endless mountains and streams, dividing the world. Xiao Qiexin had just started the first half of the sentence when Jian Wushuang finished the remaining by saying, mountains and rivers were the palms, and the land was the seal which created the world. Mr. Jian Yi, do you know this message? Xiao Qiexin looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise. Ha ha. Jian Wushuang just smiled faintly. There was not much change in his expression, but his heart was deeply moved. The stately printing is indeed mine. Jian Wushuang was overwhelmed with excitement. He knew the Shao clan had gotten hold of the stately painting, but he was not sure if it was the genuine article. He was now sure it was indeed the genuine article when he heard Xiao Taixin's words. It was indeed the stately painting. That was the most powerful treasure he had in his previous life, and one of Seven Star Black Sect's most powerful treasures. I thought it would take a long time to recover the stately painting, which went missing, but I didn't expect I would have found it so fast. Jian Wushuang was stoked, but tried his very best to pull a straight face before continuing to ask, what happened after that? The events which happened later were widely known. The Northern Darkstar territorial lord learned of the fact our Shao clan acquired such a treasure, and he has his heart set on it. Although neither our Shao clan nor the lord knew where the treasure came from, we're certain it was an extremely high-level treasure of at least a heavenly treasure, said Xiao Qiexin with anger flashing in her eyes. In fact, there are long-standing conflicts between our Shao clan and the lord. He has been wanting to take down our clan for a while now, since our clan used to be a rather influential and prominent clan after all. Even though he's a territorial lord, our presence still perturbed him. The stately painting was the last straw which broke the camel's back. He attacked our Shao clan without warning with his amazing feats of strength and decimated our clan in a very short time. No one else except I survived. Xiao Qiexin was trembling in anger. Jian Wushuang was able to understand her feelings. The hatred she had for someone who wiped her entire clan out must be unimaginable. Jian Wushuang continued to ask after Xiao Qiexin simmered down a little, did the territorial lord get his hands on the stately painting in the end? Xiao Qiexin nodded. Yes, he did. Not only the stately painting, but also our clan's wealth, which had been accumulated over the years. Many treasures and resources have fallen into the despicable territorial lord's hands. I've no idea if he managed to cultivate with the picture scroll or just gave it away. An Earth ultimate god, like him, will not be able to cultivate with the picture scroll. Jian Wushuang firmly shook his head. He knew for certain that even a remarkable undying saint would not be able to cultivate with the stately painting. There were very few in the world who possessed the capability. Jian Wushuang was able to do so in his previous life with the help of his master. In addition, he had managed to claim ownership due to his renegade cultivation method. I believe the stately painting is still with the territorial lord, since this happened only about 20 years ago. Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes slightly with his unprecedentedly chilly and sharp gaze. He initially had no apparent conflict with the Northern Darkstar territorial lord. Although he thought of challenging the territorial lord to a duel and replace him, he was just thinking without any real intentions to realize it. Besides, there were countless star territories in the ancient god domain. There were hundreds of star territories in a single domain with many domains in each. There was no need for him to target solely the territorial lord. However, things had changed. He had to do it now because the stately painting was in the territorial lord's hand. In order to regain his treasure, Jian Wushuang must confront the territorial lord. The Northern Darkstar territorial lord is an Earth ultimate god. I've no idea where his level of strength is among Earth ultimate gods. I might not be able to compete against him with my current strength, and must find ways to improve myself as soon as possible. I'll need a large number of primordial stones for that. Jian Wushuang tightly clenched his fists. Chapter 25:20, Cultivation Primordial Stone. Jian Wushuang groaned, but suddenly raised his head the next moment. Tixin, I would like to request your help in a matter. What's the matter? Xiao Tixin looked over. I want to borrow the 6,000 primordial stones in your interspatial ring. I'll return it to you after some time, said Jian Wushuang. Xiao Tixin frowned, but soon relaxed. It's just 6,000 primordial stones. If Mr. Jian needs it, I'll give it to you. It doesn't matter if you return it or not. Xiao Tixin did not hesitate and took out her 6,000 primordial stones. She knew that were it not for Jian Wushuang, she would be left with nothing that day. Even her life would be gone, let alone the 6,000 primordial stones she had. Don't worry, I'm just temporarily borrowing it. Jian Wushuang smiled and accepted the primordial stones from her. At that instance, the Shuya escort's members who went to investigate their surroundings had also returned. Captain, there's no more people from the demonic moon prefecture around us. As for those people we previously escorted, all of them are dead, reported a deputy captain in a deep voice. Indeed, none survived. Xiao Tixin was not surprised. Jian Wushuang smiled. It's nothing to do with Shuya escorts, as they were digging their own graves. Now that those people you were serving are dead, it's meaningless to go on with the journey. Are you returning to where you're from via the same route, or will you continue through demonic moon mountains and head to the other end of Dark Thunder territory? We are heading to the other end of Dark Thunder territory. The escorting task is just an opportunity for us to earn some ancient god divine power. What about you? Where is Mr. Jian heading to? Xiao Tixin asked. Me? Don't worry, let's go through demonic moon mountains first, suggested Jian Wushuang. Right, this is demonic moon prefecture's nest. They went full force against you, but were defeated. They might not be able to have their revenge against you now, with only the demonic moon prefecture's powers alone, but they'll find ways to invite experts from other prefectures for assistance. So we'd better leave. Xiao Tixin nodded in agreement. Everyone soon continued to set off. 2 days passed in a flash. During this time, People of the demonic moon prefecture knew exactly where the Shuya escort team was, but dared not cause any trouble as the scene where 3 ultimate gods were killed were fresh in their minds. They were terrified of Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang made a pit stop when the Shuya escort team had left the demonic moon mountains. "Let's part ways here," Jian Wushuang directly announced. "Mr. Jian, aren't you going with us to the other end of Dark Thunder territory?" The Shuya escort team members were quite shocked. "The environment in central Dark Thunder territory is good. I want to stay here for a while. Tiexin, you can stay with me if you don't mind. I still have to return to you 6,000 primordial stones, after all. If you leave now, I won't make the effort to seek for you and return those primordial stones," Jian Wushuang said with an implicit meaning. Xiao Tiexin pondered for a moment before agreeing. "Number 2 and number 3, both of you will take the others home first. Mr. Jian, and I have some other things to do in Dark Thunder territory." "Oh, well." The 2 deputy captains of the Shuya escort team looked at each other and finally agreed. "Take little Ray along too. It's not convenient for me to bring it along." Jian Wushuang led the double-horned thunderous star beast in front of the Shuya escort. The 2 deputy captains accepted it, and soon the Shuya escort team left. After passing through the midsection of demonic moon mountains, they were quite a distance from Dark Thunder territory. Although there were bandits along the journey to the other end of demonic moon mountain, the bandits were nothing in comparison to the Shuya escort team. Hence Xiao Tiexin was not worried about their safety. After the Shuya escort team disappeared into the distance, "Mr. Jian, what's your plan?" Xiao Tiexin asked directly. In fact, she did not care too much about the 6,000 primordial stones. She was only especially curious about Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was evidently only a divine demon, but possessed the terrifying combat prowess to easily kill an ordinary ultimate god, yet was very low-key from the beginning and had never exposed his skills or techniques. Moreover, he was also very interested in the stately painting. Perhaps he was more than just interested in it, as he seemed to have a deep understanding of that picture scroll and knew what it was. Mysterious, powerful, and extremely weird. He must have an extraordinary background with a lot of hidden secrets. Xiao Tiexin was willing to stay out of her curiosity toward Jian Wushuang. As for Jian Wushuang, he kept Xiao Tiexin with him, not because he merely wanted to return her 6,000 primordial stones, but also because she fitted the role as a helper well. "Tiexin, come with me first." Jian Wushuang smiled without explaining too much. Jian Wushuang strolled around before stopping in a slightly secluded place. "I'm going to spend a few days here cultivating. Can you protect me and don't let anyone disturb me?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Yes." Xiao Tiexin nodded and did not refuse. Xiao Tiexin immediately went into the void nearby Jian Wushuang with her soul power sweeping across the area. Jian Wushuang sat down cross-legged, flipped his hands, and many primordial stones appeared around him. Those primordial stones were borrowed from Xiao Tiexin, with a total of 6,000 altogether. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up instantly upon seeing those 6,000 primordial stones. "In Wusha Wilderness, I previously swallowed and refined 3,500 primordial stones from the Great Compassion Sect and Narcissus Island in one breath. My divine power was close to the peak second-class divine demon then. These 6,000 primordial stones should be enough for me to make a breakthrough from second-class divine demon to first-class divine demon." Jian Wushuang carried a glimmer of expectation before emitting a terrifying suction force and began to swallow and refine the primordial stones around him. He was absolutely fast and made scary progress. A large amount of pure divine power from those primordial stones entered his body before being instantly refined and absorbed by his body. his divine power began to increase at an astonishing speed. While Jian Wushuang was refining and absorbing the powers from those primordial stones, Xiao Qiexin, who was in the void not far away, was taken aback at what had happened before her eyes. She could not believe how fast Jian Wushuang was absorbing and refining those powers. How can he be so fast? Chapter 25-21, First Class Divine Demon. Xiao Qiexin was dumbfounded. Everyone knew about the powers within primordial stones. In the ancient god domain, many cultivators used primordial stones as a currency, though there were also some who often used them to restore or enhance their divine powers. However, the effects were not as significant because the direct absorption speed from those stones was slow for many cultivators. An ordinary ultimate god might require several days to absorb the powers of just one stone, even with his full concentration. It was too time-consuming, and most importantly, it consumed a lot of resources. A primordial stone was expensive, so it was considered extravagant to cultivate using it. Xiao Qiexin got to see it with her very own eyes that day. Jian Wushuang's divine power absorption speed was phenomenal to her horror. She could clearly sense many primordial stones around Jian Wushuang had dimmed and turned into ordinary stones. In just merely an hour, Jian Wushuang had refined around 100 primordial stones. She finally understood Jian Wushuang borrowed her primordial stones to absorb and refine the powers within. Jian Wushuang chose to do it after the remaining Shuya escort members had left, as he was not worried about showing such a scene to Xiao Qiexin. At the speed, I'm afraid that my 6,000 primordial stones will be completely gone within 2 days. He had absorbed such a great amount of divine power. Could he possibly advance to the ultimate god? Xiao Qiexin thought. She was right. Jian Wushuang was indeed aiming to make a breakthrough to a higher level. However, he was not targeting the ultimate god level. Instead, he just wanted to achieve the first-class divine demon realm. Time passed, and Jian Wushuang was completely engrossed in the process of absorbing and refining divine powers. Xiao Qiexin had also quieted down. She wanted to focus on protecting Jian Wushuang from the interference or possibly any bandits that would attack him. The primordial stones around Jian Wushuang continued dimming at an alarming speed. In less than 2 days, all 6,000 primordial stones were completely refined by Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang had also smoothly broken through from second-class divine demon to first-class divine demon. Of course, the black stone disguised Jian Wushuang's combat powers and made him appear to have made a breakthrough from the peak divine demon level to the ultimate god level. Xiao Qiexin walked over to greet Jian Wushuang. "Mr. Jian, congratulations," said Xiao Qiexin with clear amazement on her face. Before his breakthrough, Jian Wushuang was already able to kill ultimate gods and defeated the demonic Moon Prefecture governor. She wondered what he could do with his powers after progressing to a higher level. Truth be told, progressing from second-class to first-class divine demon might seem like a small advancement, but for Jian Wushuang this progress caused his strength to have a qualitative improvement. Now, I'm probably unmatched among the high-level ultimate gods, such that I can easily defeat or even kill someone like the demonic Moon Prefecture governor without even using the 9 Sparkle Stars armor technique. I might be able to face off a peak ultimate god if I have other trump cards in hand. Jian Wushuang was quite pleased with that thought in mind. I have made progress in my realm. Now it's time for me to work out my plan, said Jian Wushuang with his glowing eyes. Qiexin, come with me. Jian Wushuang took Xiao Qiexin, returned to the demonic Moon Mountains again, and wandered there. Mr. Jian, what on earth do you want to do? Xiao Qiexin asked suspiciously. Don't worry, you'll find out later. Jian Wushuang decided to not reveal it yet. After what seemed like a lifetime, Jian Wushuang stopped in front of a giant mountain. Found it. Jian Wushuang had a smile on his face with his eyes locked on the mountain ahead. There were pavilions and palaces on the mountain with a hazy restriction shield enshrouding the area. Is this the demonic moon prefecture's nest? Xiao Qiexin was taken aback as she commented, Mr. Jian, are you thinking of attacking their nest? Why not? Jian Wushuang smiled mischievously. Xiao Qiexin was stunned. Jian Wushuang could easily wipe out demonic moon prefecture's ultimate gods before even making a breakthrough. With his newly attained divine powers and strength, he could probably wipe out the entire demonic moon prefecture. That's demonic moon prefecture, one of the 18 prefectures. There are 18 prefectures deeply ingrained in dark thunder territory having intricate relationships with each other. Your action today might incur the hostility of other prefectures. The other 17 prefectures will not turn a blind. I'm afraid that, Xiao Qiexin frowned. What could happen? Will the other 17 prefectures join forces and kill me together? They must first be able to find me and obtain the opportunity. As for now, indefinitely after this demonic moon prefecture. If I don't do it, where do I get so many primordial stones to return your favor? Jian Wushuang said indifferently, Mr. Jinny, those primordial stones are nothing but demonic moon prefecture. Xiao Qiexin wanted to continue speaking. However, Jian Wushuang waved his hand and interrupted her. I've already decided. You just need to watch me. Jian Wushuang was not bothered if his actions would nettle with the 18 prefectures, since he had planned to face them off sooner or later. He had no choice, as he needed a lot of primordial stones. In fact, he needed heaps of it. The 6,000 borrowed primordial stones from Xiao Qiexin were insufficient, as it only allowed him to break through as a first-class divine demon. Therefore, he had his target set on the 18 prefectures for resources. Although those 18 prefectures had never rubbed him the wrong side, they were still unscrupulous bandits who robbed others. Jian Wushuang was just contributing to society by eradicating these evils. Xiao Qiexin knew she could not change Jian Wushuang's mind. As for Jian Wushuang, he had his eyes locked on demonic moon prefecture at the front as surging divine powers started arising from within him. The divine powers were obviously stronger than before as it madly condensed behind Jian Wushuang and formed a 1,000-foot-tall golden god shadow behind his back in the blink of an eye. Jian Wushuang was performing the 7 Stars secret technique. Bang, bang, bang. Several handprints were produced as he wore a grim expression. Prison of punishment. Rumbling. The heavens and earth shook as infinite golden divine powers swept across the area, forming a vast ocean of golden divine power that expanded madly in every direction. The golden divine power ocean was moving fast, abruptly, and continuously expanded wider. In the demonic moon prefecture's nest, a large number of bandits within were alarmed by the sudden attack. A commotion had stirred up in the demonic moon prefecture and quickly turned chaotic. Chapter 25-22. Major upheaval. The governor and several other remaining ultimate gods gathered in a magnificent palace within demonic moon prefecture's nest. There were once 9 ultimate gods, but only 6 remained. Governor, how's your injury? Asked one of the ultimate gods. Fortunately, I've restored about 70% of my strength. Hopefully, it'll completely recover in a few days, said the governor, who was still a little pale. After spending years with eagles, I never expected we'd be attacked by another eagle. I must have lost my foresight. I didn't expect such a terrifying genius would appear within the Shuya escort team, not to mention a peak divine demon who could subdue me. Such super geniuses are scarce even in the entire ancient god domain. Yet we encounter one of them. The governor sighed at his ill fate. It was rare to see a genius like Jian Wushuang, as many people could not even come across one in their lifetime. In a sense, the demonic moon prefecture must have been lucky. Governor, we've concurrently lost 3 ultimate gods, with even you being injured. If the other 17 prefectures know about this, they might even hit us when we are down beside ridiculing us, said a thin old man dressed in gray, who was in charge of intelligence. The governor's complexion turned ugly and hissed in a low voice, "Try containing the news, and don't spill anything to the other 17 prefectures. Let's talk about this when my strength is fully restored." Yes, the ultimate gods all nodded in agreement. Unexpectedly, rumbling, a terrifying power erupted, and their whole world started shaking. The many pavilions and palaces in Demonic Moon Prefecture violently shook. What happened? Go out and take a look. The governor and several ultimate gods immediately left and appeared hovering in a void above. They were greeted with an earth-shattering scene. An infinite ocean of golden divine power was frantically sweeping from all directions and completely enshrouding the Demonic Moon Prefecture's nest. There was a heavy restriction shield formation Demonic Moon Prefecture had set up at heavy expense surrounding the prefecture, which could even parry off attacks from high-level ultimate gods. However, that shield was shaking violently under the golden divine power's attacks, and finally gave way before being shattered. The shield is gone. The governor, along with the others, were shocked. Thereafter, the golden divine power ocean engulfed the entire Demonic Moon Prefecture and formed a huge golden prison. The golden prison was like a sturdy iron barrel that trapped all their experts. What technique is this? It's a prison. It's so strong that even our restrictive shield was crushed. Who made this prison? A tumultuous panic broke loose within the prefecture. Suddenly, "Governor, look, he's there," yelled an ultimate god nearby in a shrill and forlorn tone. The governor and other experts traced the shout's source and saw 2 figures standing on the golden prison's edge. They were no other than Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin. "It's both of you." The governor of Demonic Moon Prefecture was initially shocked, but then became furious. It was just a few days ago that he was injured twice by Jian Wushuang, and his prefecture's people were defeated. The Demonic Moon Prefecture suffered a great loss in the battle against Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin. After the incident, he dared not take revenge against Jian Wushuang for fearing the consequences. However, Jian Wushuang and Xiao Tiexin were unrelenting and even appeared before him. How could the governor not be irked by their disparaging gestures? Governor, look at his divine powers." The stuttering voice was from an ultimate god who also previously took part in the Shuyu escort team massacre, as he stared fearfully at Jian Wushuang. The governor finally noticed the divine powers Jian Wushuang emanated from that ultimate god's queue. Jian Wushuang's divine power aura was increased by 2 levels under the Black Stone's influence and had reached the ultimate god level. Ultimate God. The governor was stunned. Has he broken through to the ultimate god realm? How is it possible? 4 days ago, he was at peak divine demon realm. Did he make such crazy progress in just 4 days? The other experts around were also shocked. They had suffered great losses when that person was just at peak divine demon realm. What would happen if that person had made a breakthrough into the ultimate god realm? "Tiexin, you stay here," Jian Wushuang told Tiexin as he made his way ahead toward the people of Demonic Moon Prefecture. "Governor, I haven't seen you for a few days. How are you?" Jian Wushuang wore a playful smile on his face. "What are you doing here?" Feelings of fear had overwhelmed the governor's anger. "Aren't you stating the obvious? A few days ago, You and your people came to rob us, and as soon as you took action, you placed a restriction to trap all of our people. Now, I'm here to return the favor. Although my golden prison isn't a restriction, I can assure you its power is no less than an ordinary restriction. Jian Wushuang said. The governor was trembling in fear as he could see what was about to happen from the surging golden divine power. The golden prison was not something he could forcibly break open. None of the experts trapped within the prison were able to escape. Your Excellency, there have been no conflicts between us before. I admit the previous incident was purely a misunderstanding. Besides, you've already killed 3 of my ultimate gods. Do you want to wipe us out? What if we offer you 10,000 primordial stones as our sincere apology? How about that? The governor spoke servilely. He had no choice, as the pressure Jian Wushuang asserted on him was too great, and he desperately needed to retreat. As for the 10,000 primordial stones which he offered, he was in great despair for losing them. Nonetheless, there would be opportunities of earning the primordial stones as long the demonic moon prefecture remained. 10,000 primordial stones. Governor, have you forgotten how you treated the Shuya escort team before? A small guard like Xiao Tiexin from the Shuya escort team was willing to give up 6,000 primordial stones to save her life, but you refused to accept her offer. Aren't you being a bit stingy to just offer me 10,000 primordial stones? Jian Wushuang sneered derisively. Your Excellency, we have made concessions. Don't push us too far, said the governor coldly. You are indeed strong, but don't forget this is the Dark Thunder Territory and Demonic Moon Prefecture is one of the 18 prefectures. The 18 prefectures have always been acting unanimously against outsiders. If you dare to attack us, the other 17 prefectures will join forces and kill you.